that have their dumpsters in city lots.
Well, I would say two things about that. One is that this ordinance change doesn't affect that whatsoever. I mean, they're not coming in with a new site plan. There's nothing more or less, legal or illegal about those dumpsters than there was yesterday. So, but I do take your point. I think that does need to be addressed. It probably won't be with an ordinance change though. It'll probably be with, a plan. The city will have to take a look at, well, which sites don't have adequate facilities for trash management and what can we offer them to do. So if, a portion of the city lots is best used for, say, a shared dumpster, that would be a good strategy. But I just want to reinforce that it's not affected by this ordinance change.
Okay, maybe I should rephrase my question and ask, if I'm opening a new business on Ford Street, it has no place to put a dumpster, put the city, and there's other businesses that have them back there, what do I do with my dumpster?
Well, so there's where we would ask them, okay, could your business be serviced by, say, carts instead of a dumpster? Like, is that possible? Is there a place on your property to put them that is vehicle accessible? That what kind of screening would that need? If you are a restaurant, then we might want that more closely secured than if you are, say, a gift shop, because you'll have food waste. That's the kind of thing that we would be asking them to consider in their trash management plan.
I got a question.
Well, before we get to that, James, if you would get rid of the shared screen for me, that would be good. Councilman Kelsey, go ahead.
There's a business that I can think of that has its dumpster right on the sidewalk and right by the city street. And what are we going to do about those existing? They've been existing for a long, long time. How are we going to handle that on a case-by-case basis? Or are we going to go around and go through the city and talk to the owners as we discover them and work something out, I guess, because there are some of those that are like that. They've been like that for a long time.
Well, I know what the one you're referring to.
Yep.
And the uniqueness about that one is it's actually blocking public sidewalk division. And maybe it's there on two accounts. One, there isn't any place other than in the front of their building, and number two, it's close and easy accessibility from their mechanic shop, so they don't have to walk very far. So again, to enforce it, it's already in the police department's category, chapter 676, to enforce the removal of it. We're saying to you from the planning and zoning, the zoning and building, is where would we allow them to put it? That one that you're particularly talking to about would either have to go somewhere down the alley, further out of the alley, or into a dumpster enclosure in front of their building.
That's through the chair. That's what I was talking about, because there's going to be some complicated situations we're going to have to work on if we're going to enforce this uniformly so nobody is treated differently than somebody else. And at the same token, some of these businesses have been here for 20, 30 years, and whatever the reason, it's not been enforced. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but I also mean it in a positive way, because it didn't force the business to address it. Now we're talking about, as we go, these are going to stand out as we get, because in this business is enforced through laws. I guess what I'm saying is, what is the game plan for what I just asked? I mean, you're talking the police enforce that? Is that the ordinance, or is that through the ordinance department? Is that what you're talking about, John? Through the chair?
Yeah, it's through chapter 676, and they would have the enforceable capability to remove it. But as soon as they are forced to remove it, they're going to come to the building and to the zoning staff and go, where do we put it?
Right.
And then we'll have to have an answer. And the reality is this ordinance really doesn't pertain to existing issues. This pertains to ones that are coming new. But we do have an upcoming discussion, and maybe there's a chance for the development team to dig deeper, but you probably have a lot of the non-enclosed dumpsters that are not in proper places, that are actually on city property, that aren't enclosed either. And so it gets a challenge when we go to a site plan and we request them to enclose it, and they show us a line of pictures of dumpsters sitting in parking lots without being enclosed. We'll have to come to a resolution of how we address that in the future.
Through the chair, that's what I was getting at. I mean, it's kind of a complicated, we're changing something for new organizations, which is John is correct, that are coming in and the planning commission is dealing with, and Leah and John are dealing with. But we also have that Me Too clause that says, if I gotta do that, how come they ain't doing it? And that's what I was bringing up. I'm just gonna make that point because it'll get complicated for the city because they're gonna come to the city and explain exactly what I just was saying. So I guess it's a twofold process. The new planning is great, but we're gonna have to find some kind of way of accommodating or talking to the owners when we get to the other section about, you know, hey, it's been this way for a long time, but it's not really proper, or we need to talk about this. So I just wanted to bring that point up. And if John, if you're talking about it later, then I guess the sooner the better, because after this goes through, then we're gonna have the new businesses in compliance, and then we need to talk about the old businesses if we need to. That's all I got, Your Honor. Thank you.
All righty.
To the chair,
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
as I said last meeting, I pointed out there are several businesses off of Southfield between River Drive and Ferris or whatever, that do not have, their dumpsters are in the alley. They've been there for 25 years. There's no problem. It's wide enough. They have no problem getting this picked up, and there is no place for them to put a dumpster on their own property. I realize this ordinance doesn't touch on that, but I want us to keep in mind that we have thriving businesses here in Lincoln Park that have been there, and they've been operating with these dumpsters. So before we make a whole lot of changes to those, we really need to take a close look at each of these establishments. That's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else from the council?
Yes, through the chair, Your Honor.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
And I do understand the work that was put in, and I know we're all talking about existing rather than this new ordinance that you're putting forward. So just to touch base again on existing dumpsters, I know a place where they're picking up trash at 5 a.m. in the morning. So who do I contact for that? Who do I contact if they have 3 dumpsters in their backyard and they should have only 2? I know this is an existing issue, but maybe this needs to be brought up also. So I'm all for this new ordinance, but you can see the existing dumpster situation that we have is a dilemma in the city. And I don't want to punish businesses by, telling them they got to, change their style with their dumpsters, but need to move forward on this issue, existing dumpsters.
Mayor, if I can speak to that.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Just a minute. I know that address you're talking about, and I probably have to address residential complaints about, let's stretch it on an average, 3 of them a week in regards to the dumpster issues, particularly in the summer seasons, and to the connecting link of them concerned that the overstacking, the overloading of them in multiple places, they're causing a rat infestation. So at this point, what I have done, without enough guidelines of where we put them or eliminate them, I have addressed the ownership to either dump more frequently and leave nothing on the ground. I can think of that place on Southfield, and I can think of several places on north side, in the north half of Fort Street, where they have a smaller dumpster, and when they get overloaded, they just pile it on the ground, and then animals come and devour it and grow a food restaurant.
Okay, but complaints in reference to the dumpsters, they go to the building department, do they not, as a starting point?
If you'd love to send them somewhere else, I would not object, but yes.
No, we're good with that, but just to get it straight for everyone else that would involve.
They go to me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. Anyone else from the council that wants to discuss this particular issue before we move on to the next one?
I would just like to say through the chair
Go ahead.
that I think this is good because this has been a problem, like Leah explained. So I think it's good that we change this for the existing businesses and at least start on one path anyways of helping, making it kind of easier for them, but also easier for ourselves. So I think this is a good way to start. I think this is a good idea to bring these things up that the planning commission or Leah.
Oh, we lost Larry for a second here.
Experience.
Larry, we lost you for a little bit after you said Leah. You're silent for a couple minutes.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, I was just in favor of the proposal, Your Honor, a long story short. I think it's a good proposal, or a good ordinance.
Okay, we appreciate the work that, that Leah and John have put in for that. Is there anything further from the, I have a hand being
Sure,
raised.
Mr.
Leah,
Chair.
go ahead.
Again, I'd like to say this, that it's a good idea, it's long overdue. But we need to tread, I'd like to echo what the council president said, we have to tread carefully because we have a lot of long-term businesses who have issues with their dumpsters, and we need to help them find a way to do it, not just push them so that they have a reason to close.
I got you, but the change that we're talking about, the ordinance in and of itself that is being proposed is for new businesses coming in for site plan review. Is that would be accurate? Okay, Leah, you had your hand raised before. Do you want to comment?
I did. Okay, so to unfortunately harken back to my error in not realizing that the site plan review ordinance would be adopted before this one, I'm wondering if it is a better idea for me to submit a new resolution to you for the next council meeting, because we're amending, they're both on the agenda tonight, the site plan review, and then we're going to amend this brand new ordinance, and so I wonder if maybe that should be more sequential.
Okay, is there a problem with both going through tonight?
Well, I think the ordinance that the resolution that you have has the wrong number on it, because it references the old, where it was in the old site plan review ordinance rather than the current one. That's the only trouble that I see.
Okay, do you want both pushed back to the next meeting?
I think the site plan review should go along so that that's adopted, and then next time we can amend it.
This is just the first and second reading, so we can change the ordinance number.
The city clerk is saying that this is just the first and second reading, so we can proceed ahead and then change the number when it comes to our next meeting.
Perfect. Okay.
So that would work out with that. Okay, again,
Okay.
thank you both for the work that you put in for this, and we're cognizant of council's comments in reference to that. So we will be. Is there anything else from council reference this? All right, then we'll move on to the second topic for our study session. That is the concerts in the park, which would be for this Saturday coming up, which is October 10th, and then Saturday, October 17th. Recently, in the governor's orders, they relaxed the amount of people that could gather at any specific event. It had to do with the square footage of the allowed. The proposed concert was set for the band show area, and with the square footage by the rules, I believe that the allowable amount of people in there would be could be 500. The emergency operation team got together, and in that had concerns over whether the audiences would be able to do the would be wearing the face mask, would do the social distancing, whether that could safely be done, and that was the concern, that if then the concert had to be stopped, could that be safely done? So in answer to that, and for council, we have both the fire chief and the police chief that are on the call for questions and concerns. We also have Maureen Tobin, who is the events coordinator for the city, and I'm going to go for Maureen to make a comment first, and just want to express our condolences on the loss of her mother. I just was 2 days ago that that she lost her from being in, not a nursing facility, but a care facility in which she had contracted COVID from a caretaker, which is terrible. But Maureen, we're glad that you are with us here today. Are you able to give us a little background on the concert, and then what safety measures you're going to have in place for it? Maureen, are you there? Well, she is showing on my screen. Maureen? Okay, well, we will come back to this. Chief Martin or Chief Waters, did you want to touch in on this or give your thoughts?
Yeah, this is Chief Martin, and Maureen, if you're listening, I'm sorry I did not hear about your mom. My condolences. To further complicate this issue, the governor's orders were some of them were found to be unconstitutional, but the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services kind of stepped in and kind of revived some of those orders anyway, especially about wearing masks and some of the occupancy limits. So for all intents and purposes, it sounds like it's pretty much the same concerns that we had anyway. But, the last thing we want to do is continue to be wet blankets on social events like this, but there's a lot of moving parts, and we were just concerned with, it's more than just the people there. It's, there's going to have to be some kind of police presence there. We're going to have facilities there, and every single person who goes there has the potential to contract and spread the virus, and everybody who's there is then going to go home and come in contact with people and their families. So I think that was the EOC's biggest concern, and we kind of wanted to bring it before everyone and have a discussion. But those, I believe, were our main concerns, and we don't have to look too far other than the White House to see how fast something like that blew up, just over a weekend, and it's the numbers are still counting. So.
Okay, Chief, excuse me, Chief Waters, would you like to chime in? I'm not having the best of luck this evening on this. Well, let's try Maureen again, if you could unmute her.
She needs to unmute herself.
Maureen, please unmute yourself. Let me try it a different fashion here. Give that a second. Chief Waters, you're on the call?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you now. Could you touch in reference the two concerts on the 10th and the 17th?
There was going to be people attending this event. It's going to be one of the first large events that we're going to have in the city in probably 6+ months. There was several concerns about the crowd, the spread of COVID. The kink in the whole thing now is that the fire chief has returned the governor's orders, and now the attorney general has come out to say now that I comfortable thing to say is allowed at the same time when do we start to live our lives? It's a tough decision, and that's why we thought we'd bring it to council.
Okay, Marina's having difficulty getting her audio to work.
Excuse me, through the chair, what did the chief say about the Attorney General? I missed that. What did he say?
Can you repeat that, Chief?
Amy Nusslo said today that she's not going to be in any more of the orders from here on out.
Oh, okay.
Criminally, correct?
Correct.
So whether, in
You're on.
hang on, just in discussing this and going back, I was thinking that we.
Hi guys, I'm on.
Oh, there she is. All right. Well, then go ahead, Maureen. Touch on. You heard what the request was, right? To answer some of the concerns and then discuss what you had planned and what safety precautions you have going.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? I had set up the zombie apocalypse with the vendors, and that was canceled. So what I did, since I already had kind of an idea with the zombie, is we're going to take the tarmac in front of the stage, and we're going to block it off so nobody can get on the tarmac and get to the band or do any dancing. People that come in groups will have to be gathered together, and they will have to set up 6 feet in all directions.
Maureen, let me interrupt for just a second, and if you could shut your computer off, as we're getting.
Okay, let me mute it.
Okay.
Okay, let me mute it. Okay. Is that better? Better?
Yes,
No?
it is. Go ahead.
Okay. So people would come in. They would have to set up in groups that they come with. They would be required to bring their own chairs. There will be no seating provided like we usually do with the benches and that picnic tables. They would have to set up 6 feet in every direction from another group. I have 9 hand sanitation stations that will be set up in the park for this, so people can continue to sanitize their hands. I have porta potties that have hand sanitizers inside of the porta potties. So basically, I'm keeping the people away from the stage. I'm making it so if they're going to dance in their own little area. I spoke with Remy from 50 Amp Fuse, and he has no problem, as I have no problem. If people aren't complying with the mask and the social distancing, we will shut the concert down. I think it's important that we try to give the residents just one thing, just to boost morale, and I will be doing everything in my power to make sure that they're following the rules. I have signs ready to be sent to the printers that explain the social distancing and the setup. I have an article on hold with the News Herald right now that explains the social distancing, the hand sanitizing, the mask, the everything that, and if it's not being complied with, we will just end the concert. So I've tried to think of everything possible to keep our residents safe. I think it's, I think that if people are going to come to this concert, they're going to come prepared to follow the rules, especially if we blast the rules out to them. I think people that are concerned won't come. They simply will stay home. But, I will do everything that I possibly can to enforce the rules.
Yeah, I just want to say this, and
Go ahead, Chief.
Maureen, I understand, and I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to keep you in a wet blanket, but in our experience, we don't see that people, when they don't want to comply, just don't come. They go, and then they want to be confrontational, and that happens everywhere, whether you're in a grocery store or whether you're, at a concert.
I understand that.
And that's what
You know, I
we're
also-
concerned with. And then there's going to have to be a police presence for that to make sure that that doesn't get blown up on hand. There's probably going to be alcohol involved at some point, and that's when things start to get difficult. And it doesn't matter if the band's not playing. There are still concerns.
Has there been, Chief, has there been, excuse me just a second. Chief, has there been, Chief Waters I'm talking about now, 50 Amp Fuse has played several times in our town. Are you aware of any issues or problems that we've had with the crowd in reference to their plan?
They draw a large crowd. I think it's supposed to be Saturday. It's supposed to be a nice night Saturday or a nice day. So you'll probably get a decent sized amount of people there.
Yeah. Typical older crowd, though. All right, Maureen, go ahead.
If I may say,
Yes.
you know, in the 5 years of doing the concerts here, whether a Thursday night concert or concerts as big as Art in the Park that bring in, you know, over 1,000 people, we really have had no confrontations at all. We might have to remove somebody that's had a little too much to drink, but we walk them out of the park, and that's the end of it. We've never had a big confrontational issue at any of the concerts in the last 5 years.
So with the emergency operations had that, and then you've heard the concerns that the chief has expressed and other members of the team also. That's why it's being brought forward as a topic of discussion. So let's hear what, if anyone on the council has a comment either way.
Through the chair, if I may.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I don't know, you know, I'll be blunt about it. The ELC usually make all the decisions. I'm surprised we're being brought in, and I'm not making that as a negative, but you guys have sat down and had all the facts, or you usually send us an email, and when you cancel the zombie apocalypse, or whatever it is, we got the email. So I don't know what makes us any different. Whatever the ELC wants to do, that's what we guess. They've been doing it. So if they're concerned about it or not concerned, then I guess they're the experts. And I'm just saying that because I'm surprised, because they've been doing this all along, you guys. You know, now, I mean, I don't see any difference in this. The guys had talked about the other ones and looked at the numbers and looked at the orders. So, I mean, that's my opinion. The ALC has done this all along. So, and we've always got the aftermath. Change help send us a note afterwards. We haven't been up front, you know, and I got no problem, but I'm just surprised now that we're involved because this is what they've done. That's what we, you know, give them the power to do, so to speak. I'm just, if whatever they think, I'll go along with. I mean, they've been doing that. They've been doing that since the COVID started, deciding what we should do and what we shouldn't do.
The other events for the EOC ended up canceling were all within the state guidelines that basically you couldn't hold it due to the orders that were put into place. This one is a little bit different in that the orders technically would allow the event to take place, that it could. The question and the concerns that the EOC have is more of a what if. What if the alcohol is part? What if our residents don't, or the attendees at the concert don't obey the rules? And if they don't obey the rules, then this could happen and that could happen. So that's where the EOC is looking for guidance from the council as a whole, because this is something that people had been talking about. It has been advertised, and it may be that the council wants it to take place. They've heard it from the residents that this is something that they want. It's been a long 6 months, and they want something of this nature. So that's why it's being brought to council. So anyone else for that?
Your Honor, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
I think I want to respect the opinions of our chiefs, and also add that although we may not have the governor's orders in place, but the Michigan Department of Health also I think Chief made reference to their emergency orders. So I think we need to remember that maybe the orders would allow for such an event. However, the COVID numbers are still high, and that's reality. So I feel we're putting the community at risk.
Okay, I'd like to hear from all the individual council members in reference to this. So if you could chime in when you're ready.
Your Honor?
Okay.
Okay, Council President, go ahead.
I'm pretty much agree with Councilwoman Lillian. The whole COVID thing scares me to death, and I cannot visualize people going, if in fact 500 people showed up, they are not going to stay apart. They're not going to social distance. And there is an awful lot of drinking that goes on over at the park during these concerts. And if in fact this concert goes, I would imagine it'll go till 11 o'clock, I would think. I'm not quite sure if it's 10 or 11, but it just scares me right now. If in fact we were limited to 100 people, then I think we could keep the people apart. But if actually 500 people show up, I just am not comfortable with it, but I am not going to object to it if the majority concur with it, but it scares me. That's all.
It's probably going to be between 200 and 300 people. I would be my guesstimation on that. But we don't know until the event comes. We haven't had anything taken place. I mean, people are ready to, I guess, go out and have a good time.
Maybe we should approve it and only approve it till 9 o'clock. And then they won't be so intoxicated.
Well, I'm not, and that with the limited time duration is definitely a possibility. If that is what you wanted, they could cut it down to one set. I don't think that the organizers would be upset with it at all.
That's all I have, sir.
Okay, go.
Your Honor?
Yes.
To the chair.
Yes, Mr. Parkinson,
I
Councilman,
agree
go
with
ahead.
Councilwoman Ross. I'd hate to see the COVID grow in our city. And I believe that this gathering is going to cause the numbers to go up in this town. So I'm afraid of it. I don't think it should happen. Thank you.
All righty.
Your Honor, through the chair.
Councilman Higgins, okay.
A couple of things I've got to say. First of all, there's nobody who loves these concerts in the park more than me. I don't think I've missed a concert in the last 3 years. I absolutely love them, and Maureen has done a wonderful job doing them. But we have to look at the safety of our people. I was at a music concert in our city last week. And I counted about 100 people there. And when they came in, everybody was social distancing, doing what they're supposed to do. But as the night went on, people kept getting closer and closer. And in the end, they were not social distancing. I think we need to be cautious here. I have to go with the Chiefs. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I love these events, and I'd love one to happen, but I just don't think this is a smart way to go.
All right, Councilman Salcido, you're the last we haven't heard from.
Yes, sir. What are the actual hours for this event? Maureen?
I believe it was scheduled to go. Go ahead.
7 to 10:30.
7 to 10:30. All right, so Councilman Salcido will chime in. You're going to block off the dance floor. You're going to have no chairs. You're going to ensure that people are distancing themselves. I know that's going to be hard to police. I understand that. You're going to have 9 sanitation stations throughout the park, porta potties with hand sanitizers. We're going to get people from Southgate, Allen Park, Taylor, not all just Lincoln Park. Keep that in mind also. If you don't feel safe, then don't go. That's going to be my stance right now. I understand the police and the chief, both chiefs. I understand. I mean, they're the ones that have to deal with if people are drunk or you have to be removed from the park. I get that. It's been a long year. Let's call the vote.
Well, we're not voting, we're not voting right now, but
Well, that's my 2 cents.
I gotcha.
Garrett or Larry, I definitely would like the welfare of our citizens to be safe. If you don't feel safe, please don't attend this event. And maybe, Maureen, maybe just shorten it till maybe 7 till 9.
There is, I mean, I haven't chimed in to reference this, but my position would be to give it a shot and then cancel it if it appears that they're not obeying or shortening the venue. But what I am hearing from the majority of council right now is that it will become an action item for the meeting later on tonight. It will be added with the proposed cancellation of that. I mean, obviously that is something that then at the under discussion of that we can continue this conversation and either choose to fully cancel it or amend how it's going to be put on or such. But it is such that, James, that we're going to have that added to the agenda for tonight's meeting. Okay, is there further discussion reference to the concert?
Yeah, through the chair, I got a final comment.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I'd like to know how the OIC voted. In other words, I'm sure you guys did an informal vote as far as whether you thought it was good to go forward or not. So in our discussion for the resolution or the action item, I'd like to hear how the OIC, whether it was majority vote for or against. Those are the experts, and I want to hear how they felt about it before it got to us.
Well, it was a majority vote to send it to the council to make their determination of that. They didn't vote not to have it. They had safety concerns with it and wanted the final say to be done from council. Either the chiefs that are on the call, Mr. Myers was also in attendance there. Do you see that differently?
No, I think that's what our understanding was, is we wanted to bring our concerns to you.
Good.
Okay, is there anything further in reference to the concert? All right, then all the business of the...
One question, Your Honor. I don't know if Maureen is still on, but can we get an estimate how many people have shown up? Because we've had this band play numerous times, as you pointed out earlier. How big was the crowd? I understand this particular band pulls a big crowd downriver. And since there have been no other events downriver, we're liable to get way more than the 200 that...
15th Use is only played during Art in the Park and at Lincoln Park Days. And there's always at least 2 bands before them. That's where you get the big crowds when they play. There's no opening bands for this. And there have been lots of events downriver that are attended. And Riverview, Brazil, Southgate had one on Saturday that had approximately 700 people there. And they had no issues. But alone by themselves, I wouldn't estimate, I would said between 200 and 300 people would be my estimate. But that's, when they do Art in the Park, there's a couple bands before them, and there are 90 vendors there and food trucks and everything else. This is strictly just the band.
Thank you.
Okay. Then the business of the study session having concluded, I will adjourn it at 7:20. The regular council meeting will begin in approximately 10 minutes.
It's all right. I've spent all day talking to myself. Yeah, because every time I turn around, there's another policy change somewhere, and I'm just,
Then you're talking about for the,
elections.
so what's changed on the election?
Well, they've got these new accessible ballots now, and they're just dumping a whole bunch of stuff on us.
Transmitters or not, maybe.
It's just, and then there's the whole thing with, if they're postmarked by the second, you gotta count them after, and
Okay, I unmuted myself. Is Reverend Peck on the call? Okay, I'm not hearing him. Give him a would say give him a minute, but we have a big agenda here, or a long agenda. So we got, what time we got? It is 7:30, so I am going to call the October 5th, 2020 meeting of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Lincoln Park to order. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and then remain standing directly after that for either a invocation from Reverend Peck of Bethel Assembly of God, is he able to come in, or a moment of silence, and in particular for those that may have lost a loved one in the city of Lincoln Park over the past 2 weeks. In particular, the mother of our events coordinator, Maureen Tobin, who passed just this week. Joan Johnson Myers was her name, so we'll keep her in our thoughts and prayers. Oh, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all. I'll check, is Reverend Peck on the call? They want to do a moment of silence? Thank you. If we could have roll call, please.
Councilpersons Breeding,
Present on the phone.
Higgins,
President,
Kelsey, see him but I can't hear him.
He's on the screen.
Parkinson,
Here.
Ross,
Here.
Salcido,
Here.
and Mayor Carnes.
Here. Okay. As we're moving forward here, as mentioned there, that our Maureen Tobin lost her mother. We extend our condolences to her. Joan Johnson Myers, I don't know what arrangements. It is a different time that arrangements are very, very difficult, even though. But again, our thoughts and prayers go out to Maureen and to the rest of her family. School started today. Oh, well, it started some time ago, but it's been remote. But the first groups of students came in to the schools. I work at the high school, so I'm familiar with about 100 freshmen were scheduled to come in. The way that they arrange lunches and the social distancing and all those precautions that need to be in place make it for a little bit different. But it's school. It's a high school. They were having fun. The teachers were getting the job done. So we'll see how that is going to progress. First and foremost on everyone's mind this coming time is the election that's going to be taking place next month. I asked our city clerk to give us a little bit of information, reference to absentee ballot voting and any suggestions she might have, and just giving us an update. There you go. That's much better. So Carrie, can you do that? We don't have her on screen because we have some internet issues, so she'll just be
a voice
just
in
the
the
voice.
dark. So, yeah, we have an election coming up in November. The clerk's office has been preparing for this for months and months and months and months. We think we've got a good handle on it. We think we're ready. I've got a good turnout of election workers, so whether you choose to vote in person, all of our polling locations will be open, your normal polling locations, so all 9 of those places will be open. You can go and vote in person, or you can choose to vote in absentee ballot. I recommend that everybody checks their registration at the state of Michigan's website, michigan.gov/vote. Check your voter registration. Make sure you are a registered voter well ahead of time. Check your polling location. See where you're supposed to go to vote. You can apply for an absentee ballot there, and you can check the status of your absentee ballot, whether you've gotten an application or whether it's been received by us, or whether we've issued you a ballot, if you've returned it, whether we've received it. All of that information is available to you, the voter, on the state's website. It's a really good website, has a lot of questions and answers for you. If you're going to go to the polls here in Lincoln Park, there are a couple of things that you should know. We will ask that everybody wears a mask for your safety as well as ours. We're also going to be practicing social distancing. That means that the booths are going to be spread out a little more than you're probably used to, which means that there's going to be a little less room in the precincts than you're used to, which means that the lines are going to extend a little farther out of the buildings. So you may want to check the weather report and make sure that you're dressed for the weather, because you may have to stand outside of a school as opposed to inside of a school like you're used to. The polling locations will be open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. Anybody who's in line by 8 p.m. gets to finish voting. We don't kick you out at 8 p.m., but we don't let anybody that's not in line enter the building. The precinct is a campaign-free zone, which means that you can't wear your campaign shirts, anything with a campaign slogan, a candidate's name, no hats, no buttons. We're going to ask you to either turn that inside out, remove it, cover it, something like that. You can't campaign within 100 feet of the voting precinct. So you can't wear that stuff in. If you have a face mask that has a candidate's name on it, we're going to give you something to cover that up with. So be aware of that. If you want to vote in absentee ballot, they are available over the counter in the city clerk's office. You can come in, pick one up. You can vote it here in the building, although we do only have 2 booths available, so there may be a wait if you decide to try and do that. It is a pretty long ballot. When you're done voting that ballot, you fold it back up just the way it was, put it back in the gold secrecy sleeve, slide it into the green envelope, leave that number visible. Please don't try to seal the secrecy sleeve. Only the green and white outer envelope gets sealed. Make sure you sign that, and you get it back to the clerk's office by election day. You can use the post office. It does cost 70 cents if you mail that ballot. If you're going to do that, you want to make sure that you mail it far enough ahead of time that the post office can deliver it to us. That means at least 3 to 5 days before the election. If you want to drop it off in person, we have drop boxes here at City Hall, and we also have one at the community center on Dix, the ice rink at Dix and Gregory there. So you can drop it off there, you can drop it off here. Those boxes are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can bring it inside the building. We have a drop box here in the lobby you can put it in. Just make sure that you get that back to us by election day, signed and sealed. The last day that we can possibly mail an absentee ballot is going to be October 30th at 5 p.m. I don't recommend you wait that long. If at all possible, you get your ballot well ahead of that time. Waiting until then certainly pushes the limits of the post office, and you may not get your ballot in time to bring it back. Another little note that I want to make is we have had some voters returning ballots into our drop boxes from other cities. The drop boxes that are here at City Hall and the one that's down at the ice arena are only for Lincoln Park ballots. If you have a ballot from another city, you need to take it to that city. I can't process those here. So I think we're ready. We've already issued close to 8,000 absentee ballots. We've already gotten a good 2,000 of them back in. My girls are working their fingers to the bone trying to make sure that everybody that asks for a ballot gets one and everybody that returns one has it logged in. Please be patient if you check that state's website and you don't see it. Sometimes it does take us a couple of days to get those all logged in, but we're working extra hours to make sure that we take care of everything.
Thank you, Carrie. We are fortunate that we have the city clerk that we do, and her staff is working very hard, but it's never been easier to do your right as an American and cast your vote than it is this year. That's my way of looking at it. Be prepared. Do your homework. Find out if you are eligible to vote. And if you're not currently listed, guess what? You have time to get it done. So it's not only your right as a citizen, but it's your duty as a citizen to go through and make your vote count. I'm thinking that this is probably going to be a good percentage of our voters are going to come out within this year, and that's a good thing. Speaking of good percentages, last information I have from the census folks is that 98 point something percentage of the households in the U.S. has been counted. So that is a good thing. So because as close as we can possibly be to getting that accurate, then the money that is to be divvied out through different federal programs will be done accurately. And that is all that I have for right now, other than register to vote, pay heed to what our city clerk has told you, and I think we will prepare some bullet points that the clerk has said, and we'll put that on our Facebook page and on our website. So in case with some contact numbers if you have questions, particularly that information from the state that our city clerk had mentioned.
That's all on our website, by the way.
Well, there it is. It's already done. Figure
The
that one
clerk's
out.
page of our website, that stuff's already on there.
First page of our website. Thank you. So with that, we will jump into the consent agenda. We have, I was just seeing if Mr. Peck had come in. I would have let him do a little delayed, but he's not. So we'll move on to resolve that the following items listed under the consent agenda be approved as presented to the mayor and city council. 1, approve minutes, regular meeting held September 21, 2020. 2, approve minutes, special meeting held September 21, 2020, RE closed session, sale of city property. 3, attend training, police department, interrogation school. 4, attend training, police department, executive school. 5, attend training, police department, evidence tech school. 6, participation, residential rehab program, low interest. 7, participation, residential rehab program, deferred interest. 8, participation, residential rehab blight remediation. And 9, approved Christmas tree lot, 3313 Dix.
So move.
Discussion? All right, hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yeah.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido, can't hear Carlos is muted.
Yes.
There you go.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. We now move into a public hearing that I'm going to call to order at, looks like 7:44. And it is a discussion regarding dangerous buildings 26560 Outer Drive. And call on now our building department manager, Mr. John Myers, to make a report.
Tonight, the owner of the property, Terry Banks, may be in the audience, if we can find out if he's here, or a representative for that property.
Is there anyone here on the call for 26560 Outer Drive? Okay, I'm not seeing.
Mayor and council, my recommendation at this point then, if we do not have a representative and we have extended this public hearing from last session to this one, is to grant the owner a 90-day window to fix, repair, or have demolished, and finalize that as a movement for the council to consider.
Your Honor, if I may be recognized, Edward Zelenak for the City of Lincoln Park.
Attorney, is everyone receiving him? Is the microphone turned on, sir?
It looks like it's on, Your Honor.
Okay, James, are we receiving him on the audio? Seems like it. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Your Honor, Mr. Myers and I reviewed the evidence that was presented, the recommendation of the Dangerous Buildings Board, the evidence presented at the last meeting, the fact that Mr. Banks is the owner of the property and the party of interest, including previous owners and parties of interest in the chain of title, have all been served prior to the original hearing, and Mr. Banks was present on the screen at that hearing, and then at some point was vacated voluntarily or involuntarily from the screen, did not participate in the past hearing. This appears in the interest of justice the best way to proceed. It's our opinion that Mr. Myers has presented sufficient evidence to establish that the building is in an ultra-hazardous condition and that it should be made safe, fixed, repaired, or torn down in a 90-day period, which would be the classic period given by the Committee on Dangerous Buildings Board in such a circumstance, or the City Council, that gets you to the end of the year for sufficient opportunity for Mr. Banks or any other party of interest to take the steps to make safe and repair to code, or to have the building scheduled for demolition. If nothing is taken by that time period, which takes you to January by the next available meeting, we'd ask council then to schedule it to go out for bids for demolition. Your Honor, furthermore, I would ask Mr. Myers to indicate, just for the record, to the council that you did serve by regular mail and other notice to Mr. Banks the original hearing and the continuation of the hearing today.
I have,
Okay, Mr. Myers, give a detailed what type of notice was given to the owner?
originally it was given to go to the dangerous building, and it was given on a hard copy with a, I lost the phrase, a
Certified.
Certified?
certified letter. Thank you very much, clerk. And that original card was returned to us as it has reached the owner of the property. It also was then tagged on the public property of all the dangerous building meetings, as well as the council meeting. I've also been in touch with him by email and by virtual text message, informing him of all the information that has been gathered on the property. We have dialogued, and then I have sent him the information of the Dangerous Building Board codes, 1444.3, giving him an awareness of the decisions that were made by the dangerous building, going to council for public hearing and review. So everything that we have processed, we have not gone inside the property. However, I have not gone into other properties either. But on the assessment of our classification of 50% of SEV, I highly recommend that at this time and age, with the cost of construction, we as a city could not rebuild that or re-put it back together. at that cost factor. And therefore, it is our recommendation for the safe and well-being of the community that that building becomes made safe, repaired, or demoed.
Your Honor, in order for council to proceed, you have to accept as part of your findings on the record that proper service was made of the initial hearing and of the subsequent council hearings. I believe there's a sufficient basis for council to take judicial notice that service was made on Mr. Banks and that he had conversation with Mr. Myers, and that the proceeding today is a fair proceeding. He was here at the previous meeting, and they've had discussions since then. If he's absent from the hearing today, he'll be served with a copy of the order once council affirms its minutes here and moves forward. So that's the first step council will do. Secondly, we'd ask council to adopt the findings and at the regular meeting to order, when it's appropriate, to fix, repair, or demolish in 90 days.
So you need the notification to be done also as part of that the proper service was done at the time that we consider the resolution for the 90-day stay on the demolition?
Yes, that would be your concurrence at the time you passed the resolution, but we'd ask council if you have any questions about notification to inquire with Mr. Myers or myself at this time, Your Honor. If there are any questions, whether it was proper or there was service, now is the time to ask, because once you close this hearing, you go to voting on the actual merits.
So there's no question that the person that has been contacted by the name of Mr. Myers who's the owner?
Jerry Banks?
Terry Banks. There's no question that he is indeed the owner of the property. Is that correct?
According to our title search, that is correct.
So all best of knowledge available to you, he is the owner, the sole owner of the property?
And the final payer of taxes on the property.
Mr. Myers, would you also indicate to council that it's your position that the house at present is an attractive nuisance and presents an ultra-hazardous condition to the safety and well-being of adjacent properties and the community if it's left in the present state? I know there are a lot of big words in there, but would you agree?
Mr. Myers?
I did.
Okay, do you agree with what
I do.
Okay, very good.
That's all we have to submit, Your Honor, unless there's any other questions of council. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just, for one more time, is the owner of 26560 Outer Drive in attendance? Is there any comments or objections to the demolition of this structure? To open up to the audience? Any comments or objections to the demolition of this structure? Okay, I'm hearing none. Is there comments from council reference this before we close the public hearing? Hearing none, then we will close the public hearing at looks like 7:52. Reconvene the regular meeting. First order of the action items is resolved that an ordinance to amend the municipal code of the city of Lincoln Park by repealing and replacing chapter 1296, section .01, entitled Site Plan Review, be given its third and final reading and adopted by title only, said ordinance having been posted conspicuously for 72 hours. The city of Lincoln Park ordains that the Lincoln Park Municipal Code be amended by repealing and replacing section .01 of chapter 1296 entitled Site Plan Review.
So moved.
So moved.
Support.
Support.
Okay, moved in supporter. Do we have discussion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item is resolved that an ordinance to amend the municipal code of the city of Lincoln Park by removing chapter 1290, section .04B2 entitled Off-Street Parking Areas and repealing and replacing chapter 1260, section .08B entitled Definitions Chapter 1276, Section .02I1, entitled Neighborhood Business District. Chapter 1278, Section .02AA1, entitled Municipal Business District. Chapter 1292, Section .14, entitled Nonconforming Signs. Chapter 1294, Section .19F4, entitled Temporary Buildings. And Chapter 1276, Section .27, entitled Signs, be given its third and final reading and be adopted by title only. The City of Lincoln Park ordains that the Lincoln Park Municipal Code be amending by removing Section .04B2 of Chapter 1290 and repealing and replacing Section .08 of Chapter 12I1 of Chapter 1276, Section .02AA1 of Chapter 1278, Section .14 of Chapter 1292, and Sections .19F4 and .27 of Chapter 1294.
So move.
Support.
Okay, discussion?
I just have one point, if I may,
Yes, ma'am.
through the chair. Previously, when we amended the same ordinance, under the section, and I know this is the final reading, and I should have caught this before, and I apologize, and it probably doesn't make a difference. Under 1286.03, uses permitted after special approval, they have included Section D, kennels. We removed kennels from this part of the ordinance the same time we removed privies that we had on the books 100 years ago. We don't allow kennels in the city, so I don't know at this point if that can be stricken from that or if it takes an amendment. But we don't allow kennels in the city of Lincoln Park, and I am sorry I didn't catch this for the first reading.
Our city attorney is saying that it can be changed, can be stricken.
Might be a drafter's error, Mr. Mayor.
And
I like
and it may be a drafter's error.
So if the mover and the supporter don't object, can we remove kennels from that uses permitted after special approval, number D?
I would say so. I don't, the city attorney's agreeing. So is that good with the mover and supporter?
I'm the mover, yes.
Oh, okay. All right, then the supporter?
I'm good with it too.
All right.
Okay.
Do we have further discussion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Repealing, replacing Chapter 1296, Section .01F2M, entitled Site Plan Review, and Chapter 1294, Section .41, entitled Trash Receptacles and Dumpsters, be given its first and second reading. The City of Lincoln Park ordains that the Lincoln Park Municipal Code be amended by repealing and replacing Section .01F2M of Chapter 1296, entitled Site Plan Review, and Section .41 of Chapter 1294 as follows. 1296.01F2M. Waste Management Plan that includes trash receptacle locations and method of screening if applicable. Trash receptacles and dumpsters must conform to the screening standards outlined in 1296.03G, and all trash receptacles and dumpsters must conform to the standards and requirements outlined in 1294.41. 1294.41, trash receptacles and dumpsters. A, no outdoor trash storage area may be in any front yard or in any side yard setback which is adjacent to the street unless there is no alternative as established by the Planning Commission. In no instance may any trash receptacle or dumpster be located within or block a designated parking space. B, any outdoor trash storage area must be limited to normal refuse which is collected on a regular basis and must be maintained in a neat, orderly, and sanitary condition. C, adequate vehicular access must be provided to such containers for truck pickup either via a public alley or vehicular access aisle which does not conform with the use of off-street parking spaces or access to nearby principal buildings. D, where vehicular access is restricted due to space or other constraints, curb carts rather than dumpsters may be permitted by the Planning Commission if it will result in no reduction to the public health, safety, or welfare. E, commercial and residential developments may enter into a shared refuse collection facility agreement with one or more of neighboring businesses. A copy of this agreement must be submitted as part of the site plan and must specify the location and maintenance responsible for the shared facilities.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion?
Yes, Your Honor.
Councilwoman Ross, go ahead.
I see Leah is on, so I'll let her explain because I know we have corrections to this.
Sure. So we just amended repealed and replaced the section on site plan review. And this ordinance specifically references one of those provisions. And while the wording hasn't changed, nor has the suggestion, the number is different between the existing ordinance, and the one that we just adopted. And so the next reading will reflect a different number next to that site plan review list.
Okay, does that answer your concern, Councilwoman?
I think so. We just know that we've got corrections coming.
Okay.
Yes, just to that one number though, the language is all the same. It's just
Right.
we have a different target for where it is in the ordinance now.
Okay.
Okay, is there,
All right, I'm good with that.
very good, is there further discussion?
John, question to the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
My question is, if a new business is coming in and has to do this and they don't have the land, is there a way that they can appeal this?
Well, you can always ask for a variance, but all this section of the ordinance does is say, listen, could you please tell us how you are going to manage your trash? And so, whether it's by a curb cut or whether it's by a dumpster or whether they're going to bag trash and take it out, they just need to commit to it in writing so that we understand that it will be well managed from here on out.
Okay, yeah, my issue is, and I brought it up earlier, there are some buildings that do not possibly have a place to put a dumpster. So I just want to make sure that we're going to leave a way for the new business coming in to work with the city to find a solution.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, our hope is to solve that problem sooner rather than later. That's kind of the point of this ordinance, is when you have a really small site where this is tight, let's figure it out at the front end before it becomes an enforcement problem. Because there's a solution. Everybody manages trash. We can figure it out.
Thank you.
Okay, is there further discussion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from our planner, Leah Michelle. In November 2019, voters in the city of Lincoln Park passed a referendum opting into permitting marijuana businesses in the city. The referendum specified the number of each type of license to be granted and that such businesses shall be located in the general industrial district. Lincoln Park City Council has adopted a police power ordinance governing the process and requirements for assigning such license. To implement it, the Lincoln Park zoning code needs to be amended to list the new business types along with among the permitted land uses in the city. There's also an opportunity to create standards to guide the physical development of the business. It is proposed to amend the 4 sections of the zoning code to accomplish these aims. Go through this 1260.08 in definition. This section is amended to include definitions applying to the new uses and standards. These definitions are taken directly from the new regulatory ordinance. It would also remove the definition of medical marijuana facility, which specifically referenced the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act of 2009 and was subsequently rendered obsolete by the Michigan Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act of 2016. Such facilities are now referred to as primary caregiver facilities. Second is that 1286.03 special land use in the general industrial district. This section is amended to include the marijuana businesses uses specifically in the regulatory ordinance. It also permits marijuana primary Caregiver facilities, which were previously allowed as medical marijuana facilities, as referenced above. The purpose of retaining this use is to ensure that these facilities, which have broad and unclear permission through the state statute and case law, are now confined solely to the residential districts of the city. The standards of such use have been incorporated into 1296.02. And then 129602, site design standards for uses permitted after special approval. The proposed standards are focused on compliance with state and local regulation and on minimizing the external impacts of marijuana business uses. And then 129002, off-street parking and loading. This section is amended to implement parking standards for marijuana business uses, and they are based on existing regulation for retail and industrial uses. So, resolved that an ordinance to amend the municipal code of the city of Lincoln Park by adding, replacing, or repealing portions of chapter 1260, section .08 entitled Definitions, chapter 1286, section .03 entitled Special Land Uses in the GID, chapter 1296, section .02 entitled Site Design Standards, and chapter 1290, section .02 entitled Off-Street Parking and Loading be given its first and second reading by title only. The City of Lincoln Park ordains that the Lincoln Park Municipal Code be amended by adding, replacing, or repealing portions of section .08 of chapter 1260, section .03 of chapter 1286, section .02 of chapter 1296, and section .02 of chapter 1290.
This is the one that Donna needed the D taken out of.
And then this is,
If you look, 128603,
The
uses
kennels is
permitted after
listed
special
also
use
in
approval.
here.
This is the one that had the kennels in it. This is where we should remove,
1286.03D, and I
Right.
apologize.
we should remove the kennel from this one, not the previous one,
all right.
okay?
All right, so, I'm sorry, do we have a mover and supporter on this?
Yes, I move.
I support it.
Okay, is it good with the mover and supporter to remove, chapter 1286, general industrial district, uses permitted after social approval, D, kennels, which is out, no longer is, existing as what the council president had discussed earlier?
I don't have any problem, Your Honor.
I have no problem with that.
Okay, very good. Then we'll open it up to further discussion. Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item also has a cover letter from our planner of record, Leah Dumichel, and it has to do with regarding for zoning amendment on 1805 Papless Drive. And an information, she says the owner of parcels, and I won't go into the parcel numbers, submitted a rezoning request to change the classification of these parcel from its current designation of municipal business district to general industrial district pursuant to 1262.09 of the Lincoln Park zoning code. Development concept was submitted with the application declaring the intent to develop a mixed-use development containing 3 types of marijuana businesses: restaurants, offices, and day lofts. Staff review of the zoning request found that the parcel satisfactorily met most of the minimum zoning requirements for consideration as set forth in 1262.09, as described in a memo entitled 1805 Papless Zoning Amendment, Rezoning Review, dated June 17, 2020. The exception was whether the dimensional requirements of the proposed new district could be met. The smaller of the 2 parcels did not meet the minimum lot area requirements for parcels in the general industrial district, It was noted in both the staff report for the zoning, initial zoning from GID to MBD in June 2019, and again in the current report, that both zoning classifications would satisfy sound planning principles due to the unique conditions surrounding these parcels. The Lincoln Park Planning Commission held a duly noted public hearing on the proposed rezoning on June 17, 2020. No members of the public attended or spoke at the hearing. After consideration, the commission tabled the request pending the city's adoption of its regulatory ordinance governing the establishment of the marijuana businesses. The regulatory ordinance was received its third and final reading on September 8, 2020. The applicant was advised, city staff, that he desired to withdraw the application to rezone 45-003-15003-000, which was transmitted to the Planning Commission via memo. The remaining item, the request to rezone parcel 45-003-1500001-304, was removed from the table and considered at the Lincoln Park Planning Commission meeting on September 23, 2020. In discussion of the motion on the table, commissioners indicated their support of marijuana businesses in general and of the location of such businesses within the general industrial district, but expressed reservations about a marijuana business on such a prominent site as the city within visibility from Southfield Road as well as from the I-75 ramp. The motion to recommend rezoning failed 3-2. 1262.09 the Lincoln Park Zoning Code states that upon receipt, the Planning Commission's finding of fact, a summary of public comment and recommendation of the City Council may by majority of membership do any of the following. 1, adopt the proposed amendment. 2, reject the proposed amendment. Or 3, refer the proposed amendment back to the Planning Commission for further recommendation within a specific period. Thereafter, the City Council may either adopt the amendment with or without the recommended revisions or reject it. So hence, that is the cover. The resolution itself is resolved that an ordinance to conditionally amend the official zoning map, Chapter 1266.02 of the City of Lincoln Park, with respect to the rezoning of parcel ID number 45003-15-0001-304, more commonly known as 1805 John A. Pappas Drive, be given its first and second reading. The City of Lincoln Park ordains that the zoning ordinance of the City of Lincoln Park, specifically the zoning map of the city with respect to zoning classifications of the property known as parcel number 45-003-15-0001-304, commonly known as 1805 John A. Pappas Drive, shall be rezoned from Municipal Business District, MBD, to General Industrial District, GID.
So move.
Support.
Okay, we have a mover and supporter to open it up for discussion.
If I may, through the chair,
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
could you explain what day lofts are? Is that going to be set up as a residential?
Well, so that was an initial.
And we have our city planner, Leah, so go ahead.
Sorry about that.
You're fine.
So the initial submittal, right, it's just a rezoning, and if we rezone, then we have to allow all the permitted uses, but it's usually only requested when there's a development concept in mind. So originally, before we had our regulatory ordinance written, the concept was for a really mixed-use business that had several types of marijuana uses. The applicant is here. At the time, I envisioned the day lofts to be, a type of lodging, perhaps not overnight, basically a place to go and hang out and enjoy whatever you purchased from the dispensary. Maybe that was my understanding of what the day lofts were. But it is understood by the applicant at this point that such mixing of uses is not permitted.
Okay. Council President, did that take care of your query?
Yes, but one more clarification, if you may. You stated that the Planning Commission actually rejected this 3-2?
Yes, they failed to recommend it. That's correct.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Okay, Councilwoman Ross, I believe I heard you with a question.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Is it okay to ask what it is that that they intend to do then? I mean, if we know they can't have the mixed use uses that they wanted, so what is it that they're proposing to put there?
In a subsequent conversation, it was determined that they would still like to pursue the marijuana business, and they would still like some stacked licenses. So I believe that to include a grow facility, as well as a not a dispensary, retail, thank you, outlet, and also a processing center.
Can they do that right next door to a hotel? I guess because I'm asking that only because I know there's setbacks for marijuana businesses when it comes to like schools, right? Where there's children. Well, I would assume that there's going to be families and children at the hotel.
Well, there's nothing in the set of regulations that we just gave a first reading to, or in the state that insists on a setback between a hotel, which I do take your point that anyone of any age can be at, but it still is a commercial establishment and a marijuana facility. All that the state act says is that there must be 200. They recommend a 200-foot separation from schools, although we have the power to waive that.
Councilwoman Ross, are you set?
I think so, Your Honor, for right now.
Okay. Councilman Kelsey, as you're on the Planning Commission, can you give us a bit on what the Planning Commission's feelings were in reference to this?
Thank you. The Planning Commission looked at where this item is going to be, for lack of a better word, on the main, on Southfield and I-75. And the Planning Commission was very concerned as they didn't mind it being further, like in the industrial park of Paphos, which is what they had no problem with. They didn't feel it would be a good image for the city or part of the structure to have it right as you get off of 75 and all the Southfield traffic. And that was their main objection. They objected to having people come into the city of Lincoln Park and a marijuana facility be one of the first things they see when they come into the city. And that was their main objection. They stated such in the meeting. And we took a vote, and the majority of the Planning Commission voted that they did not want this facility at this location, specifically, like I just said, because of the reasons I stated.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anything further from council?
Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, go ahead. Councilman Higgins, go ahead.
The voters very distinctly voted to allow this on Paphos Drive, and there's very, very limited space as it is. And I may point out that this land has sat empty for a long time, and we have looked for businesses to take it, move in, and do something. And this sounds like a business that's willing to spend quite a large amount of money. I think we have to consider it. My 2 cents on the subject.
All right, further from council?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
This property, if the council will look at the documents, was rezoned in 2019 from industrial to commercial by the request of the applicant. And at the time, the applicant was going to put a restaurant and some other items into that piece of property, as well as redo the hotel. And the hotel is still being redone. It's still, I just drove it over today, it's still in the process of being redone. And I never did see the plans for the restaurant that was supposedly the reason why we were rezoning it from where it was at to where it is now. Now the applicant wants to go back from where he asked for it originally back to another thing. And quite frankly, I haven't seen any movement other than the fact that he wants to jump back to the other one. And yet he requested back in 2019 to go from what it was to a different zoning so he could build a restaurant. We never did see anything. So that's my only comment. So the council knows a little history when he came to the Planning Commission. And this is one of the issues I have is that It seems like it hasn't gone anywhere. And the hotel, from my understanding, and I drove by it numerous times. I've been in the city. It's still going underneath renovation, and I don't know if there's a problem with the renovation or whatever. But it seems to be, as of today, it's still going through renovation. It still hasn't been completed. Just a point of information for the council.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
There have been many people have come in and looked at that spot and land wanting to put a restaurant there, and all have said and walked away saying there just isn't enough land to do it. As a matter of fact, when that hotel was built, and the people who have been around Lincoln Park long enough who know the history of this situation know that that hotel was built in the wrong place, which caused this problem all those years ago. There is not enough land there for a decent restaurant to come in and build. We've had many come and look at it. We've had several large restaurants come and look at it, and actually we've had a couple of them come back a couple of times and look at it. And all of a sudden, there's just not enough land to do it. So I want people to realize that why we're thinking about this.
All right.
I guess I got to reiterate my comment. This was originally industrial, and he has to have it rezoned. So
yep.
I'm confused. Whichever way you want to go is fine with me, but it just doesn't seem like we're making any movement on this property. And I don't disagree with Councilman Higgins what he said, but the record will show that the owner asked to have this rezoned, and now he wants it rezoned back to where it was at. That's all I got. I just want to make that crystal clear to the council.
Okay, and Leah, this was just to this change was made in 2019, as the councilman says?
That's correct. And I don't know, I have a little bit more background there. So I went looking through past master plans. Originally, this property was zoned, and up until your 1997 plan, it was future land use plan for general industrial. Between the 1999 and 2007 plans, the 2007 future land use map then shows the frontage along Southfield Road as being commercial.
So it's just to clear things in my mind then. So if that rezoning hadn't been done in 2019, what they're requesting for the purposes for the thing now would have been okay at that point in 2019.
Yeah. Although it would have matched the zoning, it would have not matched the future land use map, but it doesn't have to. There's no law that says it has to. That's just what our future vision is.
Okay. Thank you. And who is the owner of the property that's listed?
My name is Encore Patel, and I'm my father, Nick Patel, here.
I got you. And I'm going to get to you, sir. I was just looking for that from the city planner just yet. I'm still going with the council members, and then I'll open it up to you in just a moment. Is there anything further from the council at this point? Then we'll...
Yes, through the chair, Your Honor.
Yes,
please.
go ahead.
Just briefly, so the owner of the hotel also is going to be the owner of this proposed building site?
Yes, and I'm going to have the owner come in and make and address us, and then I'll have questions from council at that time. So if you want to hold off on that, sir, or do you continue? It's up to you.
Your Honor, if I could ask.
Hold on one second. It's let me let Councilman Salcido finish his turn.
That was my question. I was wondering, I was going to ask him, what's the status of the hotel? I believe a year and a half ago we passed ordinance to him to put a restaurant up, and we haven't seen nothing yet.
Okay, then I'll go to Councilwoman Ross. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Leah, in reading through this, the planning review, I see a sentence on here where it says that the building didn't show compliance with the setback requirements on parcel 1. If they do, if now they're redoing it to accommodate something else, are those setbacks going to be to zoning?
So can you point to me where, just so that I'm responding to the right thing?
Okay, it's in the planning review condition number 8.
Okay, I got you. So I'm sorry to be nitpicky like this. It's not a setback, that's the parcel size. And I only point that out because a setback has to do with the building as it's built. And as a rezoning, we're not considering what the building is going to be just yet. We're like, okay, can we tolerate those uses there? That's the question in front of us. So this was a question about the lot size, like the minimum lot size. And the industrial district requires a 1 acre minimum lot size, which is much bigger, like 10 times bigger than in any other district, and to accommodate intense uses. So what condition 8 is saying is that the original request was for 2 parcels. One of those was very small, and it didn't even come close to meeting the minimum lot size. That is the parcel that has dropped off the request since then.
Okay. But the parcel 1 is definitely over an acre, right?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Okay.
Of sufficient size.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, anything further from council before I bring the owner online? Okay, then, Mr. Patel, you unmute yourself and.
Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome.
And good evening to the council, and appreciate your time and energy here, and hopefully we can see this project through. Now, just for clarification for everybody, we had originally submitted a plan for a restaurant use. Now, as we all know, the Lincoln Park public voters came out and said, we want marijuana, we would like marijuana business here. So that required us as business owners and owning land within the industrial district where we had originally planned restaurants to see an opportunity to where we could also bring that component there. And so we evaluated the situation, and which is why you guys have received a conceptual plan, nothing finalized, and we iterated throughout the past year that we will comply with every single ordinance, legal right that we have, and with the codes that there are there, with the zoning, to make sure that we're compliant in every phase of the business licensing and building. So we've been working with the city planner continuously and with our engineers and architects to figure out what's the best conceptual plan. Now, we were premature in our plan that we had submitted, which was why the process has been delayed up until September 2020 in figuring out what uses would be allowed on this land. And originally, as we mentioned, we wanted to do the restaurant concepts, but then marijuana came into the space, and then we had the idea and a vision, so why not create a collaborative, multi-story building with multi-use commercial and marijuana? Now, since the ordinance hadn't been written yet and had taken extensive time to go through drafts and reviews, that's where the delays came from, and especially with COVID, where we're in this situation now. So we've been working with John Myers and Leah on figuring out, okay, when's the ordinance coming out? So once this came out, it's as only marijuana specific businesses, which you can stack there. So with our plan, we continue to comply with the city and only allow marijuana businesses within our concept plan that we've submitted, and no other restaurants. And we'll apply for special use if there's approval. Now, also to mention, specifically to address the owner's part, my father underwent a major heart surgery in 2018. He was bed rest for eight months and had 5 bypasses. So there's been a lot of troubles in his personal life and health where I've been able to step up and change my career path to come help him with his real estate development. There was nothing intentional about not getting the hotel open, which will be open in the next 2 months, and we'll have the city and mayor here for the grand opening there as well. And we're also planning on moving this development forward next year. So everything happens for a reason, and we can't guarantee when it's going to happen, but there's other issues that had led to delays in these projects, and we'll actually overcome these by just making sure that we're compliant and we're working with the city to make sure that what we've designed is a part of the zoning process. And what we're requesting is take it back to the industrial, which is what we had bought the land for in 1999 from the city Lincoln. So to that point, I would also open up the discussion to my father, who's been in the city of Lincoln Park for almost 25 years now.
Good.
All right, great, Ankur. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Mayor and Mayor and Council. Hope all safe and sound. Keep wearing mask, everyone. So, yeah, I've been in this city for a long time, very short and sweet. The hotel will open. We are putting everything inside and outside brand new, completely Best Western standard, Best Western Plus, which have over $115 average room rate. Our projection rate starting $159 a night. We have 20 jacuzzi suites. So if you guys remember back in 2001 when we have a grand opening, we have 350 people, retired judge, city mayors, council, citizens, and all type of business leaders that we have put a grand opening over there. So as this is going to be cold weather by the time we open, but we'll still have a grand opening so everyone has a chance to see the hotel. And even tomorrow, if any one of you want to come inside and look at the property, please let me know. We can arrange what type of investment that we are bringing back to the city and the hotel. This is going to be top 10 property in the Best Western Plus system. Having said that, when we put the restaurant plan, we needed to increase our occupancy because we are sitting there only one property, nothing else, walking distance, nothing. So we decide to put several restaurants and increase the tax revenue for the city of Lincoln Park. And as our plan submitted, even we have 68 parking was short. But we are trying to maximize and use up all the land that we can in order to develop something there and bring the more tax revenue to the city of Lincoln Park. But it was just on a paper because we don't know if a 68 parking was going to be approved or not. Number one. Number two, as you know, when you do the conception plan, then you go to the franchise. And when we go to franchise, I tell you, I wanted to have Buffalo Wild Wing. They rejected immediately because the entrance from the Southfield Road, you have to go all the way there, turn around. So several franchises have several different rules and requirements. So we were all trying to do that. If somebody approved it, we didn't have a problem to build. If you guys approve 68 parking less, I don't have a problem to build what I submitted. We will build something over there. Then we have the marijuana stuff. My heart surgery came up. I was off for 1 year. Everything was stopped. I had 8 open heart surgery, not 5. It was 8, 90 and 100% blocked. So I survived with that little surgery. But after surgery, when I get back, I see the marijuana ordinance approved, and I have tons of calls, over 150 calls that I got from different peoples to want to buy the property. So we decide, my son, after his college, he joined in the company and he's taken over everything from me, and he has put up conceptual drawing, and it did not work because the ordinance was just recently introduced to us and it doesn't work with our conceptual design. So we talked to Leah, and my architect was on the phone last couple of weeks ago, and we said, okay, we're not going to do anything what the ordinance required. That's all we're going to do. So ordinance say you can only do multiple up to 45 feet height of the building, and no food facility or liquor or anything. And we said, okay, we are not going to do that. So it's a simple, we are following the ordinance. All we want to go back to our GID that allows to do this facility. And if everything goes well, we will build this facility ASAP, starting design already. I got engineer ready to go.
All right, sir, I'm going to, not to cut you short, but I'm going to then put it up for questions from the council. I think that you covered your request for the changing of the from on the zoning here. So do we have questions from the council for either of the two owners that are present?
Your Honor, I guess
Yes, ma'am, go
I
ahead.
could go. So my question would be is, if the owners understand that the marijuana licenses are through a lottery, so they're not gonna be guaranteed, licenses.
The question would be whether you're familiar with our ordinance,
Yes, sir.
and the way that it's set up, and it's, okay.
Yes, sir.
Anything further, ma'am?
Hey, I'm lucky to survive with the 8 open heart surgeries, so I'm very positive I will win the lotto.
There you go. Anything further from council?
Yes, Your Honor, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry, Salcido, go ahead, Councilman.
Yes, and I was spinning on that too from what Councilwoman Ross said. If they don't get the bid, do they have plans to just make it a restaurant plaza if they don't get the marijuana license?
Yes.
Yes.
They have alternative plans, so
Plan B, always in the life.
there you go. Was there another council person that wanted to comment?
That was me, Your Honor, but Councilman Salcedo asked my question. I'm all set.
Okay, very good. Anything else from council? Is there any further discussion from anyone reference to this? Citizens can comment on resolutions. They're limited to 3 minutes. I'm not seeing anything in reference to that, so at this point, we will put it to a vote. City Clerk, help us out here.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Breeding,
No, I'm going along with the planning commission. They turned it down, so I'm going to ask that it be referred back to them.
Kelsey,
Same thing as Councilman Pro Tem Greedy just said. So
No.
I'm voting the same way.
Ross,
I'm gonna vote no and refer back to what our council president said.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Okay, lastly, the deciding thing on this was that it was this back in 2019, so that was the initial plan, so I'm voting yes.
That resolution passed.
So the resolution carries. So the next item that we have has a cover letter from our Director of Finance and Operation, Lisa Griggs. And in background, the City of Lincoln Park is required by the Michigan Department of Environmental, Great Lakes and Energy Finance Division, EGLE, to complete a water and sanitary sewer rate study by December 1, 2020. The purpose of this study is to determine the applicable water and sewer rates required to finance capital requirements imposed by EGLE, as well as operations and maintenance of the system. The city's water and sewer infrastructure will need significant upgrades in the coming years. Hennessy Engineers has worked with the city to put together a 5-year capital plan outlining the various items that are required to be replaced. This rate study will ensure that the rates are appropriate to cover the cost of these needed upgrades. A request for proposals was posted in Mitten, and the bids were opened on September 16, 2020. There were 8 proposals received, which were received by the city manager, finance director, and director of public service and Hennessy Engineers. The group recommends acceptance of proposal from Plant and Moran. Though the bid was not the lowest, the extensive experience Plant and Moran has with the city, as well as their experience with performing rate studies in surrounding communities and overall financial expertise, will be of higher value in performing the rate study. In addition, there is no direct experience by either the city or the city engineer with the 2 firms, and one requires the purchase of their software. So the bids are Metro Consulting at 9,300, Plant Moran at 15,000, Municipal Analytics at 15,335, Goverates Incorporated, MGT Consulting, 25,000, Hubble, Roth and Clark, HRC at 31,826, Stantec, 27,975, Utility Financial Solutions, 33,000, and Raft Ellis at $39,450. So the resolution then is, whereas the City of Lincoln Park is required to have a water and sanitary sewer rate study performed to comply with the requirements of the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, EGLE, by December 1, 2020, and whereas the Mayor and City Council authorized staff to request proposals from firms to perform a rate study, whereas the city opened bids on September 16, 2020, and all the bids received were reviewed by the city manager, finance director, director of public services, and Hennessy engineers. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council hereby authorize the water and sanitary sewer rate study to be awarded to Plant and Moran at a cost of $15,000 and not to exceed $18,500. Further be resolved that the mayor and city clerk are authorized to sign the documents authorizing Plant and Moran to perform the rate study.
So moved.
Discussion? Okay, clerk, call the roll.
To the chair, just one comment.
Yes, sir.
Metro Consulting, I mean, they've done work with Highland Park, Rockwood, Superior Township. Their bid was at 9,300 total bid, so I'm just a little curious on that. That's all I have.
Well, they, okay, do we have, Lisa Griggs on the call that can comment on the reasons behind
Yes.
this?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yep.
So we met and discussed all of the different bids, all of us reviewed, myself, city manager John, and Hennessy. Hennessy has worked quite extensively with Plant Moran on water and rate sewer studies. They didn't have any direct experience with them, and I believe they were more on the engineering side. So we all felt more comfortable with the fact that Plant Moran's a financial company. They do this type of analysis all the time. So that was one of the reasons why, and they really didn't think that the price that was quoted there was very realistic for the type of study that we're looking to have for the state.
So they have no track record in this type of deal?
Not directly with any. With Hennessy's never worked with them. They didn't have any direct experience with them. We've never worked with them as well. So we all, the consensus was all between all of us. We all felt a little bit uncomfortable with that proposal. We thought it was a little bit too low, not realistic.
All right.
Okay.
A chance that there could be some unforeseen things that would come up. We're not included in it and drive the cost right up in line with what we're proposing.
So Plant Moran was the lowest best bid, in your opinion, the opinion of the
Yes.
committee? Okay. Councilman Salcido, did that take care of your question?
Yes, thank you.
Further discussion from council? Okay, hearing no further discussion, clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Higgins,
No.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Did you hear me? Yes.
Here you go.
thank you, Salcido,
No.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Okay, the next item that we have is, whereas Section 5, Paragraph 1 of the DDA Act of 1975 states that the board may employ and fix the compensation of a director subject to the approval of the governing body of the municipality, whereas both the Lincoln Park Downtown Development Authority and the Lincoln Park Economic Development Corporation approved the contract of Carl Malish for the position of executive director. Resolved that the Lincoln Park City Council approve the contract with Carl Malish for the position of Executive Director of the Lincoln Park Downtown Development Authority and the Lincoln Park Economic Development Corporation.
I'll move.
I'll support. Yes. Discussion?
I have a comment or a question or through the chair.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
I would prefer that we include the salary, the compensation, at least for the DDA, in the portion that says he's going to be the DDA director. I have no problem with this, but according to the Public Act, we're supposed to set the compensation. We're referring to it in the employment agreement, but I would prefer that the salary for the DDA director at least be part of this resolution, just like we do for all other department heads or whatever, since it is the DDA money comes from the taxpayers. I would like that included.
Okay, that can be added. Is that okay with the mover?
That's okay with me, Your Honor.
Okay, who is the mover?
I think Mr. Kelsey was the mover on
We
this.
have Councilman Kelsey as being the mover.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm okay with it. I'm sorry.
Okay, and the mover, the supporter on record
Is you.
is me, so I'm good with that also. Is there further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Mayor Carnes,
Yes.
Councilpersons Breeding,
Yes.
Higgins, Councilman Higgins?
I had a question that didn't get answered.
Oh, I didn't hear you asking, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay, and it's been asked earlier, why is there two separate dates on the two separate contracts?
It was the date that the contracts were both signed?
Yes.
Yes, it was the date that the contracts were signed. We had situation in which the Economic Development Corporation chairperson was off due to a serious illness, and that part was delayed. That's where the difference is. There is no difference in the pay or anything similar to that, because his actual workday that he's getting paid for is after both of those dates.
Okay, thank you, and yes.
Okay.
Councilman Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
I'm used to being last. I was
I know.
waiting for
I was almost.
you to go again. Okay, our next item that we have has a cover letter from our DPS director, John Kazoo, and it's to authorize a change on the utility repairs program. In background, the 2019 utility repairs program is requiring change order number 2 to be approved in order for the to final out the 2019 utility repair contract. The change order is for additional work quantities in the amount of $10,203.98. Okay, that's basically. Bear with me just for a second. All right. Resolved that the mayor and city council hereby approve change order number 2 for the 2019 utility repairs program in the amount of $10,203.98. Resolved the mayor and council authorize the funds to be taken from account 420-923-983-000 utility repairs capital improvements.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, John, just have a question what the additional $10,000 is for, if you could break that down for us?
That's for additional items placed in the utility work repair, capital repairs, such as water main breaks, basin repairs, and utility items as we progress to the summer season.
So is there any specific project that put them over or that required the $10,000?
Just added quantities, because just for a little bit of information, when this particular utility contract typically goes out for bid in February, at that point in time, we usually have about 50 or 60 of these locations, and as we progress during the warmer time of the summer, and we have additional water main breaks that we add to this contract. We also have concrete utility repairs such as catch basins that we add during the summer months. It's just added quantities in general.
Okay. Further discussion? All right. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilperson Salcido,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item that we have a cover letter from James Kruzan, our city manager. Since the fall of 2019, the city has been without an in-house certified operator in charge for the city's water system. This is a requirement of the Michigan Department of Environmental, Great Lakes and Energy, EGLE, formerly the MDEQ. According to EGLE's policy and rules, a system that services a population over 20,000 people requires the OIC to hold the license of S1. Unfortunately, no one within the city currently holds the proper licensure for our system. The next opportunity to apply for the test for certification will be open around March of 2021. This puts the city in a position where we need to bring in outside resources on a temporary basis while we get members of our staff properly certified. To this end, the city has solicited a proposal from our contracted engineering firm for the provision of the certified OIC. The proposal is attached. They propose a flat rate of $800 a month for standard OIC services, which include checking in the system at least weekly and assisting the city in the recreation of the various reports required of the city. Additional services will be charged at a rate of $75 per hour. Over the course of the next 9 months, we will be charged the flat rate of $7,200. So the resolution is, whereas the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy require a certified operator in charge for municipal water service systems. Whereas the city does not currently have an employee with the required certification and is in receipt of a proposal for the provision of the certified water OIC from Hennessy Engineers. Now therefore, it's be resolved that the mayor and city council hereby approve the proposal from Hennessy Engineers for a water operator in charge. And you want to, as we go through this, Mr. Kruzan, do you want the costs of this to be included in the resolution? The flat rate of $800 a month?
Yeah, I suppose we should put the cost of $800 per month. With
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed, do you have a fixed rate when they'd have to come back for additional if that happens?
Yeah, additional services are at the rate of $75 per hour. These are things beyond the standard helping out with the system. Like if they help us out with things such as preparing any reliability studies, contingency plans, the consumer confidence report, they would be charging us at $75 an hour for those services.
Okay, so, well, all right, let's get a mover and supporter, and then we can get into discussion.
I'll move.
Support.
Okay, very good. Mr. Kruzan, this is, the retirement took place or the person leaving the city in December of 19. So we have been without somebody in this position for several months? Is that what I'm
We've
getting
been
from this?
without a license on staff. That doesn't mean we haven't had somebody identified as an operator in charge. one of the engineers within Hennessy prior had set up an agreement with Mr. Kazoo at DPS where he was assisting us. I think this may have been done outside of Hennessy's knowledge. But we did have an operator in charge up until recently when that gentleman left Hennessy to go to the city of Dearborn, which put us in this spot where we had nobody identified. Our intention here is this is a stopgap until the spring when we have 2 employees on staff who are qualified to sit for the exam for the S1 license, and it's our intention to send them.
And who are those 2 employees?
John, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Mr. Kazoo, our DPS director, as well as Jake Rail, our supervisor.
Okay, so come March, both of these individuals will be testing for that, is that correct?
The test usually is in May, but we have to apply to take the test usually in early March.
Okay, and the agreement with the person that left to go to Dearborn, is that in the form, do we have a written agreement with this individual? Did we?
I believe it was informal. I have been unable to find anything formal with them.
Okay, that's not a good way of doing business. Further discussion?
I'd like to make a comment on the resolution, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
This issue was well known to all the council and the mayor when this happened, when Mr. Logan resigned. We discussed this with Matt. I know I myself did, and a few other of the council people did, about the fact that he held the S1 license, and that if he left, we would be out of compliance with an S1 because nobody at that time had one. I would hope that the city manager takes that into consideration when we work on this particular issue. He wasn't here, but I'm just telling you, the last city manager was well aware of it, and there was no indication to me as a council person that we moved anywhere to get this filled. And I don't know what John did, but we got somebody. So my comment is, I would like to see some of these issues, particularly if they come to fruition, where we take the appropriate steps to get it filled. And if we don't get it filled, then we take the appropriate steps to get it filled in a different way, so that we have somebody on staff or somebody that we have on record. Because of Eagle's concern with the different water issues that have come up all the time, and now they're more persistent on having requirements and people. So that's my only comment, and I think most of the council and the mayor are aware of that. And I'm just making a comment that we look at this from that viewpoint and go forward and make sure we complete this and that it's done timely. And if we have a problem, that we correct the problem. If the 2 individuals, for some reason, or COVID continues on, that we find some kind of permanent issue to replace this. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, further discussion?
If I may, through the chair?
Yes, go ahead.
So then I think we need to add, at the bottom of the resolution, in an amount not to exceed $9,000, and that way they'd have to come back to us, but it would also allow for this $75 additional charge if we get charged any fees or whatever. So I think if we included $9,000 not to exceed $9,000, then we would know where it stands if it has to come back.
Okay, is that good with the mover and supporter?
That's fine with me. I think that's a good point, Council President.
Okay. Councilman Salcido?
Yeah, okay.
Or Perkinson? Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right. Further discussion?
Your Honor, to the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to agree with Councilman Kelsey what he said, but I also know that our head of our DPS holds several licenses, and we lose one, we're in trouble. So we need to know who has what licenses over there, not just this particular one, and be ready if he retires or if somebody else retires with a license to replace them. Just like we replace cars when they're getting ready, we should have the same idea with licenses and employees. This is not something we should be letting slip through our fingers.
Okay, I think that we'll task the the city manager with that. And we should know what qualifications are required and what our department heads hold, not just for the DPS, but for the fire, police, and for all of them, actually. Further discussion? And clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Reading,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yeah.
Ross,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Right, our next action item has a cover letter from our Director of Community Planning and Development, Parks and Rec, Doreen Christian. And yearly, the city enters into an agreement with SMART for the municipal and community credit programs. These credits are used to offset the costs of the Downriver Community Conference bus driver, SMART tickets, and taxi tokens available to senior age residents and the cost administration staff that runs these programs. So whereas SMART offers the city municipal and community credits, and whereas the city uses the credits to defer the cost for the DCC bus driver, SMART bus tickets, and the taxi token program for senior age residents. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor is authorized to sign the fiscal year 2021 municipal credit and community credit contract with SMART.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Reading,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next action item has a cover letter from our assessor, Robert Brazeau. And in background, CoStar Suite provides a database of comparables of verified sales records for all property types. Comparable sales are a major component in the defendable property assessment and are utilized regularly by the assessor's office for verifying sales data and the inclusion of sales within the 2-year sales study from Wayne County. In addition, sales comparables are used to refute disputed residential property assessments at the March Board of Review, as well as Small Claims Michigan Tax Tribunal petitions, and handled by the assessor's office. The assessing department has explored software options of this nature. However, the CoStar Suite is the only option that provides the functionality to be able to access sales comparables, less comparables, tenant databases, and a public records search. Through CoStar's recent partnership with CoreLogic has added 30 million records to its product, which will further benefit its ownership research. Ed? Yeah, absolutely. We're getting vacuuming here, which we need to end. So the resolution is, whereas the city's assessor's office is in need of software to access sales data, whereas the city's assessor's office has reviewed several options for software of this nature and has concluded that using CoStar Suite will provide the most comprehensive and cost-effective means to accomplish the needs of the assessing department. Be it resolved that the mayor and council waive the city's bid requirements and authorize the execution of CoStar's subscription contract for a 3-year term at a rate of $316 per month.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, discussion?
Your Honor, I have a question.
Let's go ahead.
Do we know if Melvindale is gonna share in this cost? Because I'm sure that Melvindale is gonna benefit from this as well.
Okay, I do not see the assessor on the call. The city manager, do you have information?
So this would just be one of the expenses of running the office as part of the standard practice, which would have slightly, this wouldn't exactly have been part of the original agreement with Melvindale, but they do help cover the costs for overhead in the department as well.
Well, then is this, I'm sorry, but is this information going to be used for Melvindale cases?
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
All right, and I would think that they should be, I mean, not hold this up, but I think we should come to terms with them and they should pay their fair share with this.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So if you could,
Agree.
if you could get with the assessor, we can either put this off until the next meeting, or we could approve it with that caveat.
We may as well table it at this point.
I agree.
Okay.
I move to table.
What's that?
Who made that motion?
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
I did. Carlos.
Okay.
I'll support it.
And support, Council President, is that what I heard?
Yes.
Okay. Then there's no motion on
There's no discussion on the motion.
I'll get it right one of these days. So clerk, call the roll.
Councilperson Salcido,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. All right, we have, the next item was, the original term to this was amended, wasn't it? Do we have the new wording?
Want me to read it?
I can read it. Do you have it?
Well, might be a little cockeyed.
Well, I'll give it a shot. Okay. Whereas the Dangerous Building and Code Appeals Board issued an order to demolish the structure located at 26560 Outer Drive, said order being issued subsequent to a hearing of the facts pertaining to this matter and identified as DBB 20-02, 26560 Outer Drive, which was held on August 27, 2020, in accordance with Section 144.04 of the codified ordinances of the City of Lincoln Park. Whereas the Dangerous Building and Code Appeals Board has filed a report of its finding and a copy of its order with this council, and with each party having recorded interest in the subject property. Whereas the City Council had established the date of September 21, 2020, and changed it to October 5th, the date for a hearing to review the findings and order of said board, and the owner of the party of interest having been given the opportunity to show cause why said structure should not be demolished, and now the council having duly held such a hearing. Now therefore be it resolved that said order of the Dangerous Building and Code Appeals Board to demolish, fix, repair, or demolish the structure, and remove the structure located at 26560 Outer Drive, Lincoln Park, Michigan, is hereby approved by the council of the City of Lincoln Park. And be it further resolved that the Director of Public Works is hereby directed to comply with said order of the board as approved by council after 90 days from the date of this resolution. And be it further resolved that the Director of Public Works shall determine the date of demolition and shall notify each party of interest as required by Section 1444.10 of the codified ordinances. Be it further resolved that the cost of the demolition shall be assessed against the real property on which the said structure is located. Such cost shall be reported to the city assessor, who shall place said lien.
So move for discussion.
Support.
Okay, sir, go ahead.
My question is, are we still open to, can he sell this property, or will that be held so that he can't sell it, so that we can't get into this, we're hiding it game?
If we could have the city attorney here to.
Could you repeat the question, Mayor, because I'm having trouble hearing it here?
Does it stop, it's basically, can the owner sell the property?
Well, the owner can do what he wants with the parcel. He's given 90 days to fix or repair or ultimately submit to demolition of the property. So he has that 90-day period once the minutes of this council meeting are approved, which would be after the next meeting. So in theory, he has 90 days plus 14 days until the next council meeting.
No, I see on the screen here that
Now, do we have a mover to supporter, Mayor? We do, right. Okay,
the
sorry.
listed owner, Mr. Banks, is on the call. And Mr. Banks, if you could unmute your phone, or city manager, if you could
He needs to
unmute
unmute
Mr.
himself.
Banks. So, Mr. Banks, if you could unmute, if you'd like to comment on these proceedings. Okay, I'm not getting anything from him at this time. Further discussion by the council?
Yes, Your Honor. Could I get a updated copy sent to me? I got the old copy, the old dates. Could I get one? Could Carrie give me the updated? The one I'm looking at is dated October the 5th, but it's got the old dates in it, like August 27th and then September 21st. And
Well, August 27th was the date of the Dangerous Building Board meeting, so that didn't change. The only thing that changed on the one that you have in front of you is where it says September 21, it says and continued until October 5th,
Oh, okay.
the date for a hearing.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed.
Okay, very good. Further discussion by council?
Through the chair,
Yes, sir, go ahead.
question for the attorney. Is there anything we can do, like put something in a title that has been condemned and the demolition is due in 90 days? It would solve a lot of this problem about people selling their properties.
Basically, can the notice of that the city's intended action be placed on the information for the property? I guess that would be it.
And I'm not certain what the councilman's asking, Your Honor, but
I would think that what he's asking for is if somebody does a search on the property or intends to buy the property, that information would be disclosed to them.
well, on sales of real estate, Your Honor, they have to come to the building department. The building department would be duty bound because of the inspection to advise them that it's under an order to fix, repair, or demolish, and that would be the sole extent. If you're talking about posting the building, I'd advise against that.
Did that answer your question, Councilman Parkinson?
Okay, that'll be good.
Okay, anything further from the council?
Your Honor,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a question. I know that you read off, it was fix, repair, or demolish. Did we add the 90 days in there? Were we gonna do that?
It's in the language.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was. Anything further from council? I would open it up, Mr. Banks, if you are able to respond or wish to comment, I would open it up again to you.
Seems not to be unmuted.
Mr. Banks, if you would unmute yourself, if you would like to comment. There you are, sir.
Yes, I didn't hear you.
Oh, okay. Are you aware of what the proceedings were tonight and what was discussed earlier?
I must have missed. I was trying to get on, so I apologize.
Okay. Well, there was a public hearing in reference to your property on Outer Drive. That
Yes,
is
sir.
the old Dr. Milton's house. It
Yes,
had
sir.
in reference to Ed. Can you concisely encapsulate what was discussed there and what is the process?
Yes, Mr. Banks, the Dangerous Buildings Board, a month previous, determined that it was an unsafe structure and ordered the building demolished. Council, after hearing the evidence, has amended it to give the owner of the property 90 days to fix, repair, or demolish the property. If it's not taken care of at that time, the city will then go out for bids for the cost of demolition, which will be then placed onto the property.
I've had 3 contractors that faulted on me.
Okay. Well, that is an iconic home in the city. And
I want to hold on to it and rebuild it, sir.
Okay. Very good. We want to maintain structures as much as we can. So you have, if you get with Mr. Myers, I'd say tomorrow, then he can give you a copy of the order and you can work out with him what needs to be done.
Can I come down to the office, or do I have to call? Or
No, he said that he's given me a thumbs up. What's that?
He can come down if he wants to text me. He has before, and we can.
Yeah, I'm texting.
We'll set an exact time and date that we can meet at the property, and then come down to the building, and we can make plans.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, very good. Then we will proceed to the city clerk for, right? That's what
Okay.
we need, right?
Yep, I think we're all set.
Okay.
Okay.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes, and good luck with that, Mr. Banks.
Thank you so very much.
Alrighty, next we will move on to, whereas the,
Resolution.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry.
Okay, whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has created a public health emergency in Michigan, whereas large gatherings of people create great potential for the spread of the disease, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and city council hereby cancel the planned concerts at the band show for October 10 and October 17.
Move. Support.
Okay, is there discussion?
I'm sorry, to the chair.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I'd just like to say that I appreciate the fire chief and the police chief making their comments. It makes it easier for me to make my decision. And I appreciate, because they're on the front lines and I'm not. So I appreciate their insight. Thank you.
Yes, in background.
And if I may.
In background to this, the emergency operations unit, that in their meeting and discussion over the concert, expressed their concerns that the concert could be held safely, and expressed their concerns to the city council. And at a study session that was held earlier this evening, a discussion was held, the pro and con for a holding of the event. Council President Breeding, go ahead.
You said exactly what I was going to say. Due to the safety concerns expressed during the previous study session, I will not be voting to approve this. So we're turning it down. The resolution reads to deny, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. That's all I had to say.
All right. At some time, we will return to our normal lives here. I'm of the belief that with precautions in place that we could hold this event and make it happen. But I appreciate the concerns that others have, as we are certainly in unprecedented times. Further discussion? Do we have further discussion? Okay, then City Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Ross,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Higgins,
Very sad, yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
No. Okay, motion carries. So we will move on to accounts and claims payable. There is one item, the Blue Cross and Blue Shield, on this, that the check has been released for the due date. So resolved that the accounts and claims payable for those items greater than $25,000 be approved as follows. Audia Concrete Construction, 19 and 20 concrete sectioning program, $642,123.60. BB&T Governmental Finance, 2019 road bond interest payment, $106,487.49. Blue Cross Blue Shield, August 2020 Retiree Med Advance Plan, retirees and actives, $216,916.39. District Court, October 2020 monthly payment, July/August 2020 MIDC reimbursement, $107,490.17. Aetna Supply, operational supplies or water/sewer department, $27,988.50. GFL Environmental USA, October 2020 city buildings, dumpster and residential curbside and recycling collection, $198,750.74. Granite Incliner LLC, 2019 CDBG sanitary sewer cured in place, $39,913.10. Great Lakes Contracting Solutions, 2020 concrete program, CDBG, $195,808.88. Hennessy Engineers Incorporated, Hoover School, Verizon Wireless Metro Act, DTE gas main replacement and meter changes, sewer bulkhead repairs, 2019 road reconstruction concrete sectioning, SRF sewer rehabilitation, 2020 CDBG intersection improvements, asphalt resurfacing, concrete reconstruction, concrete sectioning, bridge inspections, utility pavement replacement, retention basin outlet relining project, $57,299.44. HMC LLC 2019 utility pavement repairs, $40,101.21. MERS September 2020 defined benefit, $219,313.98.
Move.
Support.
Discussion?
To the chair, I got a question. I think that Councilwoman Ross asked, and I think the city manager sent all of us a response, but I'm still confused. The $300 Halloween video, why did we do that? I read your email through the chair to the city manager, but I'm confused. Why did we, with everything going on, what was the motive behind it? I don't understand it. I read the email, but I'm kind of confused. What was the purpose of it?
Well, I didn't see the email, but I can add a little bit to this. And it was through the event coordinator with the zombie apocalypse being canceled, the potential for the concerts being canceled. Also, it was to create a little bit of Halloween fun. To do a little entry with an edited down horror film that then could be projected on October 30th and 31st as just an idea to have a little bit of entertainment for our residents.
Through the chair, I was just confused because we're looking at the money, and obviously things with the COVID is a little rough for everybody. And I just was confused about it. I didn't understand what the purpose was because of everything going on. But, again, that's the way I look at things differently. But it is what it is. I made the motion to accept it. I just was confused about, and I appreciate your answer.
Okay.
It is what it is.
All right. Further discussion? Then clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. We've reached the time for our city manager report. Ms. Grzan?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And I think you must have been sneaking a look at my notes earlier when you had our clerk give her little report, because I wanted to certainly commend her and her staff for the work they've been doing over the last, not just this election, but the August election as well. They've really been working hard down there, processing the absentee ballots and just getting things going. And it's amazing to see.
Thank you.
And also just a reminder about the drop boxes for absentee ballots, one right outside City Hall here, and one outside the community center.
We should thank
a couple other things to note. Finance department is in audit season. Audits are going to be looking differently this year than they have in years past. Years past, we've had the auditors on site, but the pandemic has made that not possible. So they're doing a lot of things remotely, doing a lot of things through scanning and video conferencing. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a little bit more work, I think, for our finance department than in years past, just having to do a lot of scanning and emailing back and forth. But looking forward to a clean, nice, good audit. Over in the construction world, after a couple delays, our road reconstruction program is underway. Ford Boulevard construction is still ongoing. Our sidewalk program for the year is wrapping up. And then over the last couple weeks, the community center was able to reopen under Governor Whitmer's orders. So that's reopened and things seem to be going pretty well so far over there. And on the orders, many of you may have seen that the governor's authority was overruled by the state Supreme Court at the end of last week. So we are monitoring the situation as to what it's going to mean to us as a city, to the residents, businesses, everything as we move forward. I'm not sure. I wish I could tell everybody I had the answers right now, but I don't. But our city attorney and I have been in constant contact about this since Friday evening at about 5 o'clock. So we're monitoring, we'll find out what's going on, and we will continue to keep everybody apprised as we find out. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions anybody may have.
Okay, anything from council for the city manager?
Your Honor, to the chair.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
It's a real simple one. We took away the dumpster at Prop Spitter Park. Apparently the neighborhood over there didn't know the dumpster's gone, and they're still piling trash where the dumpster was. So I brought this up a couple of times. Something's got to be done about it.
Thank you. We'll put out information about littering, and we'll make sure we get it cleaned up.
Thank you.
Through the chair,
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
James, could you also give us a update on the building department?
Right, I still owe you an email on that. I need to, John, I had sent an email kind of late today to Mr. Myers to really get some accurate information. John, one of the major questions, we are now at full staffing, correct?
That is correct.
That is correct.
The biggest piece of information that you would like to know probably is Wednesday and Friday of this coming week will be the last day for Laura Gray being in our building.
Other things that have improved, we've had weekly meetings, John Myers, myself, the principals at McKenna, over the last probably month or so, keeping the lines of communication open. So if you guys receive any complaints about any kind of customer service issues, any kind of anything that's going on, please let me know so I can relay them. But we'll put together a more robust update.
Okay.
I'll probably have that by Wednesday, both on a statistical analysis from the last quarter, particularly in September. We did crest over 115 for the month of September, which is a good number in this time of year, and for the city's investment into renovation of their homes. The dominant amount this time, at this time of year, came from permit fees, not rental fees, which is a good sign for the economy in our community by neighborhoods and local businesses.
Very nice.
Okay, further or is there further items for the city manager?
I just got, through the chair,
Yep.
I got 2 questions, Your Honor. When Laura left, I guess, does that mean we're down 1 person, or we're just, I mean, where is that in the equation? I mean, we had 3.
Today today was the beginning of replacement and training of a 3rd person, and her name is Joanne.
Okay, I guess to follow up, what happened? I mean, I guess I'm trying to figure out what happened. Is this just a regular replacement, or she was
No, this is
McKenna, or what?
This has been in a process, and I think this is a reflection from the December issues that were on the table. And when you guys had a meeting, a study session, a month or so ago, and set a 6-month setback.
Okay.
Mr. Jackson, the president of McKenna, made a decision that his job was to evaluate all the things that may demonstrate to you as council that he is putting his best foot forward. So he's calculated 4 or 5 items that he feels he hadn't addressed or completely addressed in the past under the contract or under his conversation with city managers in the past, and he has begun to implement all those cases. This would have been one of those.
Yeah, I was just interested in a follow-up and answer my question. My last question is for the city manager, Your Honor. I talked to him maybe a week ago about the issue of the keys that I talked about probably 6 weeks ago, about having a follow-up as far as what happened to the issue of looking into a key ledger or a way of keeping track of our keys for our public buildings, so we know if somebody retires or transfers to a different department, if they have keys they're turned in or whatever. How are we doing on that? When's the expected date to have some kind of language on that so we can have some kind of control over the keys, at least coming and going?
Well, for the most part, each building currently is responsible for maintaining their own key ledger, as you called it. But we can put together a specific policy probably by the end of the year, end of the calendar year.
Okay, I didn't realize how long it took. I didn't think it took that long, but if that's how long it takes, I'd just like to see something that protects us in case we have a situation with somebody who's a disgruntled employee, unfortunately, and comes back and has, I mean, you know, anything happens in this day and age, and if you don't have some kind of way of controlling the access to the property, and that's one of them, then it's kind of like not being managing the property right. I'm surprised it takes that long to do it, but if that's how long it takes, I guess. Thank you. I'm done, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, anything further for the city manager? All right, then we will move on now to or citizen communication. That's where it is. So if you would, city manager, if you would unmute the parties, and then
Should be able to be unmuted now.
okay.
Hi, this is Tracy Dupre. Are you able to hear me?
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and members of Lincoln Park citizens, I should say. There have been multiple complaints about a particular spot on Southfield going north, almost in front of what was called Bill's Ham Place. I think the name has changed. Long story short, I responded to citizens saying that was a county responsibility because it's Southfield, but I've since learned that that's Lincoln Park's responsibility since we took that upon ourselves because the county wanted to take our parking out of the median, if I'm not mistaken. Can that be answered? Is that
Well, what is the issue, ma'am? We'll start there.
There was quite a large pothole, and then it was filled, and now there's a pothole and a big bump. So anybody that goes across it, it could cause damage to a vehicle or cause an accident.
It is maintained by the county. It is their responsibility, as I understand. Mr. Kazoo, if you could add in on that, if I am wrong.
Mayor and Council, John Kazoo. The city of Lincoln Park did have a water main break out there. and that water main break we have maintained, but it's in process of being repaired by our utility concrete contractor.
Okay, so it's the counties, but it's in the process of being worked on by our guys.
Okay. That's strange because they have a county link that you can report to, and they said it wasn't theirs. But if it's being worked on by us for that, that's great. Thank you. And just a reminder that the TFAP food pantry for Lincoln Park will open October 14th from noon to 3 at Chandler Center on the corner of Park and Chandler. It'll be our first time through, so please bear with us and let us feed those in need. Anyone that is in need, please come. We're trying to help the city and the citizens just keep food in their belly and make a little bit more comfortable. And that's all I have tonight. I'd like to thank you, and everyone have a great night.
Marie.
Thank you.
Okay, to you. 1, 2, 3.
Hello?
Hi.
Yes, is there somebody that wishes to address council?
Hi, Leslie Lynch Wilson, if I can go next.
Yes, go ahead. Ms. Wilson, go ahead.
Okay, hi. I just wanted to give an update on this year's Ghost Walk by Lincoln Park Conservation Alliance. It's going to be Saturday, October 17th. This year, due to COVID-19, we've had to have online reservations only, Eventbrite, so we can control the tour sizes. So we'll have 5 tours starting at 6:30 p.m., 10 people per tour, and masks and social distancing is required. And during the tour, participants will hear some haunting stories and history about the early days of Lincoln Park. And to reserve your spot, you will have to go on Eventbrite. You could probably do a search for Ghost Walk. The link was also in a newspaper article in the News Herald last week, or reach out to me. Tickets are $8 for adults, and for kids 15 and under, $2, and this is the 13th year of the tour. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to address the council?
I would like to address the council.
Yes, your name, ma'am?
My name is Melissa Burgess.
Okay, go ahead.
About 3 weeks ago, my daughter was attacked by a neighbor's dog. We've actually spoken to you, Mr. Mayor, about this. My husband has, and sent you pictures of the injuries that she had received.
Yes.
What we are asking is that the council looks over the ordinances pertaining to attacks such as these. Due to the severity of her attack and her injuries, we are waiting until the owners who live across the street are taken to court to see if the dog can be removed at that point. But it's been 3 weeks now, and my children are still afraid to play outside knowing that that dog is still resident across the street from our own home. The dog is also unlicensed and not registered or licensed or have any shots or anything like that. So we're hoping that the council can look over these ordinances that are pertaining to
what we're actually looking for, Mayor, is to what extent of damage does the dog have
Okay,
to
sir,
do?
I'm going to assume that you're the young lady's husband. If you could just identify yourself, that's all.
Yes, my name is Anthony Burgess.
Okay.
And the reason why we are at this meeting is because, we're not very happy with what the law is in Lincoln Park as far as dog attack on a child. This child was 12 years old. It was very extensive damage that this dog has done to this child, but yet the dog was quarantined for 8 days and released back to the owners. But we're almost feeling as residents, as if the dog has much more rights than even a child. I feel like something is very wrong with the laws on this. That's all.
Okay. Thank you. And just in a little bit of an update, there is, in Chief Waters, you can correct me if I'm in error, there is a process underway per the Dangerous Animals Ordinance of having the dog.
You want me to speak up, Mayor?
Quarantine into a hearing. Our city manager may have more information in reference to how that has been progressing since not a city manager, I'm sorry, city attorney. It's been a long day. Go ahead, Ed.
Mayor, I want to advise, so council's aware, and I don't want to speak in a sense that might prejudice any of the parties that have proceedings at the court, but there is already underway the criminal proceedings for the individual, for the dog, and the dog was kept and then released in conformance with what state law requires on vicious animals. However, the city has a hybrid civil infraction ordinance that can require the city, or allows the city to require the individual to place the dog back into the custody of the police. We filed a request for the judge to order the dog placed back into the custody pending the hearing to determine whether the dog is vicious. Those are civil proceedings similar to a forfeiture proceeding, which you see on narcotics cases, drunk driving cases, and criminal cases for nuisance abatement. However, in terms of the criminal cases, the police department moved with due process and due accord under the circumstances required by the law and under the ordinances here. So there are two separate ordinances, and the parties make a good suggestion that council look at both. And I know, Mayor, you had directed the previous city manager to do that some years past, and it was underway, and to combine the two so there's no longer any confusion, not by the city, but by the public when they see what's being done by the city.
Okay, where does the civil case against the animal stand?
There's a hearing date, and if I'm not mistaken, because I'll be handling the affairs for the city at that time, it's a week from this Thursday, Your Honor, in the district court here, and the party's been summoned to appear at court. And coincidentally, well, they certainly should be notified, Your Honor, and this is just a hearing to take the dog into custody, which we're going to take the rough position that the dog should be taken into custody until there's a determination it's not a vicious animal. And I'll check with the court. They're not letting people in the court generally for hearings, Your Honor, but they'll be notified of the Zoom address and the right to be present. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and thank you. So the ordinance is being combined, and not to change, I think what we have on the books is appropriate, but the city attorney and the chief of police are taking steps to make sure that dog is taken into custody. So can we have the next, please? Okay, I'm not hearing anyone that wishes to be heard further, so we'll move on to oral reports of the mayor and council. Council President Breeding.
Two little quick notices. Meals on Wheels, they have a new phone number. So Meals on Wheels phone number has changed. It's 313-383-2450. 313-383-2450. And for Focus Hope, tomorrow they're going to be passing out the food for both October and November. November fell right on Election Day, and we certainly can't have more people over at the band shell. So Focus Hope, tomorrow you can pick up food for both October and November. And that's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. City Manager, if you would mute the other than council, please, I'd appreciate that. And then we'll move on to...
1 second, because I have to mute everybody first.
We'll give you a second. All right, then I think we're back, and we'll go to Councilman Salcido.
Good evening.
Yes.
Residents of the park, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, first off, I know the other council members will comment on this, but on September 26th and 27th, we had the citywide garage sale in Lincoln Park. I picked up some yard tools, a nice snow shovel, some baseball cards, and some other items of interest. But it was a nice hit. Talking to a lot of the residents, they would like to see 2 of these a year if they could. So I'm sure, like I said, other council members will talk on that. Also, I was at the Plaza Antiques and Collectibles antique mall there on Champaign and Dix. I was there actually Saturday and Sunday. It's one of the Lincoln Park's finest stores you'll ever see. Please go in there. I bought a guitar, but it's just walk around in the store. You'll see all kind of vintage items and collectibles. It's just a nice place to be. In regards to the band shell on October 10th, really the fire chief and police chief, I understand, your guys' position. I believe it probably could have gone okay. However, if we can save 1 or 2 lives by canceling and maybe move on to next year, that's what we'll do. My sincere condolences to Maureen Tobin on the passing of her mother. Anyone who has parents, always, give them a hug. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Ross?
Thank you, Your Honor. I too would like to say that the citywide garage sale was a big hit. I promised those that I spoke to pass that along, that they would like to see that again. I think we should do it at least once a year. And I hope it's okay to pass this along. I know I've gotten a couple questions. I haven't checked this out for myself, but I understand that the videos are on our website. So if you haven't decided on who you want to vote for yet, those videos are there for you to watch. Thank you, Your Honor.
That's all you have?
That's it. Thank you.
Very good. Councilman Higgins?
Yes, Your Honor. I too would like to give my condolences to Maureen. It was hard losing family, losing a mother. It's even harder. My heart goes out to you and your family. I would do, I think, 150 garage sales in 2 days. I bought more on useless junk than I probably will ever need. But I had a great time. And the residents absolutely loved it. And I agree that this should be a once a year thing that we ought to. Too many people said, how great it was. And it was nice. Neighbors could get out. And I heard several people talk about it was nice. They actually got to meet some neighbors that they hadn't had to meet because of COVID. They wandered into their backyard and they were meeting people. So I thought that was a wonderful thing. I'd like to tell everybody I received a email just before I was leaving the house today that Blessed Hope is planning on having a Meet the Candidates night on this coming Sunday at 3 o'clock outside at 3804 Hazel Avenue. I told them I would go ahead and invite everybody. It will be at 3 p.m. at Blessed Hope. They're planning on doing this outside in what is, I would call their backyard. The same place that they recently had a musical event there. They said it will be spaced out, so it will be safe. I'm just passing on the message. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Kelsey?
Thank you, Your Honor. Couple quick things, and my condolences for me and Kathy, to Maureen on her mother. It's hard. My mother passed away a long, long time ago, so I know how it is when you can hang on to somebody for a long time and then you don't have them. So I hope she gets some kind of solace in the fact that, everything has to come for a reason. The other thing is that there was an issue with the fact that there were people that were talking about the issue of the garage sales. And the issue is not the garage sales, but the issue is I ended up taking my wife to the garage sales, and that cost me some money. So thank you for the supporter and the second at the garage sales for the citywide, because I got dragged to quite a few and I was the payee. And yes, they did want to have more garage sales. And there were a lot of people, and even myself don't normally go to them. Went to quite a few before I had run out of money and just simply saw the wife, we got enough stuff and get more than we can use. So it was very well received. I agree. The last thing I was going to say is that some of the issues that we have in the city are hard to make decisions on. And one of them was the issue with the concerts. But I think when you look at what's going on in the world and going on in Lincoln Park, and you see the postings that are done by, Commissioner Basham on the website and all that stuff, there is still a lot of that going on. And unfortunately, the numbers do go up, not necessarily here, but they're fluctuating. I mean, day by day, who knows? Maybe, in a short period of time, we'll get something to be a little bit better than we have, but right now we don't. And I think the best step is to make sure that we do something that's in safety oriented, and I think that's the best way to go. I know it's unpopular, and probably will be, but if you don't make a decision for people in the best interest, then I guess you're not a leader. That's just the way it goes. My last comment is, I don't know who's doing the issue with the candidate forum. I don't know who's, personally, with my age and all that, I'm a little leery about going to any candidate forum, and I'll just say that up front. And that's why the city, I don't think, had one, because normally, if I remember correctly, we used to have candidate forums. The library used to put them on, and then the city put them on, and some of us who have been in council went to those. But with COVID and all that, distancing's fine, but you're still mixing with people that you don't know, because they're going to ask you questions that come up to you afterwards. And I don't even know, and this is no slight to anybody, but I don't know who this organization's putting it on. I don't know if this is just a group of people or what, but like I said before, usually we had organized, it was the city or the library put it on to have a moderator and have the thing conducted in a format that was conducive to everybody. So in that respect, I would say that I hope that everybody has a nice night. I know it's late, and I will end it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Parkinson.
Yes, first off, I'd like to give my condolences to Maureen, the loss of her mother. I know I lost my mother years back, and I know it's very painful. So, condolences, Maureen. I agree with Councilman Kelsey. I've been shirking away from the gathering because of my age and my health. So, I think a lot of people should try doing that. The yard sales, I was surprised at the amount of people that brought out. And I think we should try to set a date for that for next year and then the year beyond. So I'm sure we can write something up about that. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you, sir. Even though I voted against the canceling of the concert, as a whole in the city since March, we've been conservative with our approach to handle this, and conservative on the side for public safety, and continue to do that. So I can see the concerns about whether that could be handled safely. It could turn into something that we do not want it, and we do not want anyone to contact COVID, let alone to possibly have a serious case and die or pass it on to family members. So it'll come, but it just won't be in the next couple of weeks. We have a thank you that is due to Ilona Varga, our Wayne County Commissioner. We have the two boxes that are available for putting our absentee ballots in. As the city clerk had mentioned earlier, there's one at City Hall, and then there's one at the community center at Dixon Gregory. It was through Ilona Varga's efforts that these boxes are here. So just thank you. As with the $50,000 grant that is coming for the refurbishing of the bandshell roof, we appreciate all of her efforts that she does for us. And lastly, this past week, our state senator, Marsh Bullock, arranged for the mayor of Allen Park and myself and Councilman Kelsey to meet with the Senate Majority Leader, Mike Shirkey. Very interesting fellow. We were able to express our concerns about what's going to be happening for Lincoln Park and things that the city needs, and they had receptive ears, and it turns out that there's a lot of things that are going on between Mr. Shirkey and the governor's office, and But it was a major accomplishment and ended up telling him of that, getting the budget done without any shutdown of state services, which in my mind is an extreme. I mean, you can argue, but the business of a government has to continue on, or innocents get hurt. And if they did not have the budget in place, that very well could happen. So I congratulate all of our lawmakers on that, CARE Committee included. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilperson Salcido?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Good evening, everyone.